Chapter 695. Special Offer Room. What about the demolition at Shanty Town? Is there any movement? Lenny didn't pay attention to Master Bing's movements these few days. He only heard that he was rebuilding Qibing's skyscraper again. This time, he found a very efficient construction company, and the framework was already up. Of course, although Lenny destroyed his house and broke his leg, his business still had to continue. The slums still had to be demolished, but Lenny didn't know if he learned his lesson. They said that they're going to have a meeting with everyone to discuss the compensation. After what happened last time, they'll probably increase the price a little, but it won't be too high. Mrs. Tang sighed. Our house is gone. We'll just have to compensate as much as we can. I don't want to think about that anymore. Now that I think about it, should I rent a house or buy one? Lenny couldn't interfere with the compensation. He couldn't go to Zhao Qibing again and force him to compensate Mrs. Tang, could he? He destroyed one of his skyscrapers, so they were barely even. He would let him go for now. If Zhao Qibing knew what Lenny was thinking, he'd probably vomit blood in anger. A skyscraper for a broken house, and it was barely enough? Wasn't this too much of a scam? Let's buy one. Renting isn't a solution. Lenny thought that buying a house was better than renting one. Buy a house. Mrs. Tang's heart ached. Tang Juqing and Tang Yun also wanted to buy a house. Now that they had the 500,000 from Lin Yi and some money from before, it was more than enough to buy a big house. But Mrs. Tang didn't want to spend all the money in one go. If that happened, the family would have no savings, and the feeling of being rich would be gone again. How could Lin Yi not know what Mrs. Tang was thinking when he saw her pained expression? He smiled faintly. Aunt Wang, I know a friend. He used to be in the real estate business, so he should know a lot of developers. I'll give him a call and see if there are any special offer rooms. All right, that's great. Can you help me ask? Mrs. Tang's greedy personality had not changed at all. When she heard that Lin Yi could get a special price house, she immediately perked up. Actually, even if Lin Yi couldn't get a special price house, Mrs. Tang would still agree to buy a house under Tang Juqing and Tang Yun's insistence. But now that Lin Yi could use his connections to save some money, why not? Mrs. Tang was very happy that she wanted to talk to Lin Yi instead of foolishly running off to buy a house. Wouldn't that be a huge loss? Lin Yi gave Fatty Lai a call. Fatty Lai was in a state of extreme excitement. The press conference was very successful, and he believed that there wouldn't be any more advertisements before the products hit the market. With all these media reports, it would be hard for Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company not to be famous. After all, the fainting incident in the first high school was heavily hyped up by Direwolf. The number of comments on the internet was calculated in units of hundreds of millions. All the netizens in the country were paying attention to this matter. Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company solved the fainting incident at the most crucial moment and formulated the corresponding antidote. This kind of reaction speed was enough to make them look down on everyone. By then, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company's name would be spread all over the internet. Boss. Fatty Lai picked up the phone. I heard that your press conference was quite successful. Although Lin Yi didn't see it himself, he heard the taxi drivers talking about it on the way here. They said how amazing Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was. Even the hospital couldn't cure the disease, but they cured it. Heh. If it wasn't for boss's powerful prescription, everything I did would be in vain. Fatty Lai's mind was still very clear. He didn't get complacent because of it. He understood that everything was because of Lin Yi's prescription and antidote. If it wasn't for these two, people would have to believe him no matter how much he boasted. Hey, you've done very well. Lin Yi praised him. Oh right, how's the preparation of the antidote? The raw materials have been purchased, and it's already on the production line. Elder Guan is there to check, so there shouldn't be a problem, Fatty Lai said. And, let me ask you something. Do you know anyone who is selling houses? Lin Yi asked. Selling houses? Why, boss, you want to buy a house? Fatty Lai was stunned and asked. It's Tang Yun's house. Didn't Zhao Qibing destroy the slums? I'm planning to buy a house now. Do you know any developers who are doing promotions or selling houses at special prices? Lin Yi's question was vague, but he believed that with Fatty Lai's intelligence, he would be able to understand Lin Yi's meaning. Indeed, Fatty Lai understood. From the moment he heard that Tang Yun's family wanted to buy a house, he understood Lin Yi's meaning. Fatty Lai used to be in the real estate business. He had a few buildings in Songshan, and some of them were unsold or kept for his own use. Lin Yi couldn't directly tell Tang Yun's family that he wanted to buy a house. With Tang Yun's personality, she would definitely reject it. Mrs. Tang would definitely stay, and there would be some conflict between the mother and daughter. That was the case with the 500,000 yuan from before. Tang Yun always wanted to return it to Lin Yi, but Mrs. Tang wouldn't take it out. So Lin Yi thought of an idea. He wanted Fatty Lai to find an excuse to sell the house to Mrs. Tang at a low price. That way, Mrs. Tang would benefit from it, and Tang Yun wouldn't suspect anything. Oh, there really is. Fatty Lai thought about it and said, "Just tell Auntie to contact me directly, I'll take care of it." Lin Yi smiled. Fatty Lai's ability to understand was quite good. He smiled and said, "There is? All right, I'll tell Auntie Wang to contact you." Mrs. Tang looked at Lin Yi eagerly. When she heard Lin Yi say there was, her eyes lit up and she almost laughed out loud. She didn't have much money on hand, so she wanted to save as much as possible. "Is there?" "Auntie Wang, my friend said that there really is a house with a special price promotion. You can contact him directly." Lin Yi smiled. "Ah, that's great. I'll go check it out tomorrow." Mrs. Tang was also in a hurry to move. She couldn't find a suitable house before, but it was actually a cheap house. Nowadays, housing prices weren't cheap. If she could get a special price house, it would be a great deal. Lin Yi told Mrs. Tang about Fatty Lai's contact. Tang Yun frowned slightly. She was a little suspicious. How could it be such a coincidence? Their family was just about to buy a house, and Lin Yi could find someone to buy a special price house? But she couldn't ask in front of her mother, so she could only keep her doubts in her heart. There were police guards at the door. Some people were happy, while others were sad. Chapter 696. Visiting Jangwen, on the other hand, didn't think the same. He was so worried that his hair was turning white. There were policemen guarding the door, and it was impossible to call the tattooed guy or Zhong Pingliang. He didn't bring his phone with him, and he was afraid that the police would find out if he used the ward phone. The kidney trafficking organization that he worked so hard for was wiped out by the police just like that? Jangwen was in a lot of pain, but that wasn't the most painful thing. The most painful thing was that one of his kidneys had been cut off. And if he wasn't mistaken, that kidney should be in Zhong Pingliang's body. Jangwen didn't want to lose a kidney. He wanted to find Zhong Pingliang and get his kidney back, but he didn't dare to do so. Although a kidney was important, it was nothing compared to his life. If the police found out that he was the head of the kidney trafficking organization, what awaited him wouldn't just be jail time. He might even be executed. And so Jangwen was stuck in a dilemma. All he could do was stay in the room depressed. The police came to see him, and he had to pretend to be the victim, looking pitiful and pained. In truth, he was in pain, but he didn't expose himself. But he didn't hide his identity. Jangwen wanted to make up a name, but it would be harder to explain if the police found out. He might as well tell them his real name. It would be safer. But what Jangwen didn't expect was that two acquaintances came to visit him. Chen Yutian didn't expect Lingshan to call him. This made him excited, but at the same time he was surprised. Why was Lingshan calling him? Lingshan didn't expect that Lu Wangli's victim list would include Jangwen, one of the famous Songshan Four Young Masters. Of course, Lingshan didn't have a good impression of a playboy like this at all. This was also why she didn't like Chen Yutian at all. He only knew how to use his family background to bully others and act cool outside. What was left after he left his family's power? Although Chen Yutian had changed a lot these few years, Lingshan still didn't have any feelings for him. Their relationship was only slightly better than before. They could be considered as normal friends. So since they were normal friends, Lingshan still needed to inform Chen Yutian when something happened to Jangwen. Plus, as much as she hated Jangwen, Jangwen was one of the more important people in the city. She had to pay him a visit. Lingshan called Yutian to visit Jangwen at the hospital. No matter what, Yutian was very happy that Lingshan asked him out alone. However, Chen Yutian felt strange that Jangwen had one of his kidneys cut off by a kidney trafficking organization. Especially when he was drinking yesterday, he was fine. But today he was in the hospital. This made Chen Yutian feel miserable. Lingshan was cold the whole way, her face cool and emotionless. Yutian had a lot of things he wanted to say, but he didn't know where to start. He tried to say something that didn't hurt, but Lingshan just ignored him. Yutian could only smile bitterly. From the looks of it, he really didn't have a big chance. Lingshan's words, in particular, made Yutian give up completely. He felt that he had no hope in this life. I've broken through the middle phase of the golden class into the late phase. What's your strength now? Lingshan thanked Lin Yi from the bottom of her heart. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, she wouldn't have been able to break through. What else could Yutian do other than smile bitterly? He had just broken through to the early phase of the golden class. He wasn't even at the peak of the early phase, let alone the middle phase. The difference between him and Lingshan was like heaven and earth. Chen Yutian, I hope you can face yourself. The difference between us is too big. We're not suitable. Lingshan knew what Yutian was thinking, but she didn't expect him to still be thinking about her after so many years. Not suitable. Yutian sighed. Lingshan wasn't giving him a chance at all. You think you can beat me? Lingshan raised her head and stared at Yutian. I told you before I don't like men who are weaker than me. When have you ever been strong in front of me? Not even once. You're always this weak, asking if I have time or not, asking if I have a chance. Look at what you've done. If you really have the strength, why don't you show it to me? Strong. Chen Yutian sighed once more. Can I be strong? You're a late phase, and I'm only an early phase. How am I supposed to be strong? Didn't you send me flying with one kick? Lingshan shook her head at Yutian's silence. Yutian was weaker than her, but he didn't have the heart to be strong. He didn't even dare think about it. Lingshan couldn't accept this kind of personality at all. Even if she did, she'd probably be laughed at when she brought him back to the songhouse. People who didn't know better would think that she'd found a man who married into her family. If it were Lin Yi, he'd probably explode already. But if it were Lin Yi, would she dare ask him a stupid question like, "Can you beat me?" It seemed like she didn't dare to. Lin Yi would definitely return the Miss Braindead nickname to her. Lingshan felt wronged in her heart. She was such a strong person. How could she not have any temper after being stepped on by Lin Yi? Forget it, she still needed him to solve the case. Lingshan comforted herself. Jiang Wen looked at Lingshan and Yutian, who suddenly appeared in the ward. His heart was filled with despair. It seemed like the police outside didn't lie to him. The kidney trafficking organization was really done for. Otherwise, Lingshan wouldn't be standing here unscathed. But luckily, Lingshan didn't know that he was the head of the kidney trafficking organization. Otherwise, he wouldn't be lying in the hospital now. Jiang Wen, what happened to you? Why did you encounter something like this? Chen Yutian felt that this was unbelievable. The kidney trafficking organization wouldn't choose a young master like Jiang Wen who drove a sports car when they chose their target, right? Weren't they afraid that things would get out of hand? Chapter 697. The urge to die I see. Yutian started to sympathize with Jiang Wen. His relationship failed and his kidney was cut off. One could imagine the pain in his heart. He turned to Lingshan. Did you catch the culprit? The mastermind, the tattooed guy, has been caught, but the surgeon committed suicide, Lingshan said faintly. I wonder if there's any hidden profit chain behind this criminal organization? The police are investigating further. What Lingshan said was information that could be obtained from the official channels. However, Jiang Wen was lying in the hospital room, so naturally he didn't know much about these things. When he heard that the tattooed guy had been arrested and that the main surgeon had committed suicide, he felt dizzy. His own kidney trafficking company. The surgeon committed suicide. What was he going to do? He was still hoping that the surgeon could get his kidney back. Now it was all over. Even if he found Zhong Pingliang, he wouldn't be able to find the surgeon to do it. Which hospital would do it for him? He couldn't tell the police otherwise. The police would ask him how he knew that Zhong Pingliang's kidney was his. Yutian saw Jiang Wen's unnatural expression and thought that he was reminiscing about the past. He quickly comforted him. Jiang Wen bro, I'm sorry for your loss. Luckily, you only lost one kidney. Your life is not in danger. Think of a way to get a kidney transplant in the future. Jiang Wen could only smile bitterly. It wasn't just because he lost one kidney. He knew where his kidney was, but he couldn't get it back. This was the most painful thing. Plus, his kidney trafficking organization was his blood, sweat, and tears. Jiangwen, don't worry. The police will give you justice. The criminal has been arrested. We hope that you can testify in court. Lingshan came as a representative of the police. She didn't like Jiangwen, but he was still a victim. There were some things she had to say. All right. Jiangwen's heart was bleeding. He had to testify against his own criminal organization? Was there anyone else like her in the world? But Jiangwen didn't have a choice. He was afraid that Lingshan would suspect him, so he could only nod reluctantly. I'll be a witness. Jiangwen bro, how about this? I'll call little Shu and see if she's with Yao Yao. I'll ask them to come and see you too. Chen Yutian saw how pitiful Jiangwen was and felt pity for him. He thought that if Ming Yao came to visit Jiangwen, maybe Jiangwen would feel better. Jiangwen was overjoyed. Chen Yutian knew him the best. As expected of one of the 4 young masters of Mount Songshan. You really are good to me. Ming Yao would sympathize with me if she saw me like this, wouldn't she? At that time, the girl's maternal instincts would come out. And I might even have a chance. Ming Yao may be cold, but she had a kind heart. Jiangwen knew that. Otherwise, she wouldn't have asked Lin Yi to save him at the amusement park. As a result, Jiangwen approved of Ming Yao coming to see him, but he was a little wary of Yushu. That girl was a pure troublemaker who loved to see the world in chaos. He reckoned that she'd probably clap her hands if she saw him in this state, wishing that he'd die. But what Yushu thought had nothing to do with Jiangwen. Jiangwen didn't like Yushu, and he didn't want a girl like her even if she threw herself at him. He wouldn't be able to live if he brought her back home. She might even castrate him in the middle of the night. So Jiangwen always kept his distance from Yushu. He didn't want to mess with her, but he couldn't offend her either. After all, she was Ming Yao's best friend. Then I'll have to trouble you. Yutian bro, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Jiangwen was touched. Yutian cared for him like this even when he was injured. It made him feel good. Yutian called his sister Yushu. Yushu had just returned to the ward with Ming Yao. She held Ming Yao's hand and looked at the serious expression on Ming Yao's face. She giggled. Yao sis, what's wrong? Why do you look so unhappy? You should be very happy that you escaped death. You should be very happy that you survived. Look at me. Every time I play Super Mario Bros. Wii with you, I'll cheer when I meet a boss and survive. Ming Yao glared at Yushu. How can this be the same as a game? Besides, you're happy that Lin Yi saw you? Oh, but I'm not unhappy. So what if he saw me? I'll marry him in the future. Won't he see me too? When we played 3P together, we saw everything. Yushu counted with her fingers. It's just a little earlier, so what? Oh. Ming Yao rolled her eyes. She realized that she couldn't communicate with Yushu. She didn't know if this girl had the concept of chastity in her head. She acted like nothing had happened after Lin Yi saw her. She was living happily every day, happier than anyone else. Truly, fortune favors fools. Fools wouldn't think so much about gains and losses. When did I say I'm marrying him? Ming Yao humphed. No, you and Lin Yi have to keep it a secret, or else I won't be able to get married in the future. Oh, don't worry, only the 3 of us will know. We won't let outsiders see or talk about our things. Yushu nodded. Ming Yao was speechless. She realized that Yushu didn't seem to understand her at all. Or was she purposely not understanding? Ming Yao suddenly realized that her best friend's brain was very strong. When she wanted to understand, her reaction was faster than anyone else's, but when she didn't want to understand, it was useless no matter what you said. Don't talk about this anymore. Ming Yao could only take a step back and warned Yushu. Okay, I won't talk about it anymore. Yushu nodded. Yao sis, what are we going to do now? It's so boring in the hospital. I don't want to stay here anymore. The smell of disinfectant is making me dizzy. Chapter 698. Super good news. Where do you want to go? Ming Yao asked. Why don't we go home and play hide and seek? Yushu suggested. Hide and seek? Are you in heat? Do you want to be sandwiched by the fence again? And let Lin Yi touch your boobs? Ming Yao rejected Yushu's suggestion. There was only so much space in the house. It was fine to play hide and seek occasionally, but it was boring to play it often. Alright. What do you want to play then? Yushu changed the topic, not even blushing as if Mingyao wasn't talking about her at all. How would I know? Why don't we go home and play video games? Mingyao wanted to play games after hearing Yushu talking about video games. Oh, okay. Yushu nodded. She liked to play anything. As they were talking, Yushu's phone rang. Yushu looked at the caller ID and saw that it was her brother. She quickly picked it up. Bro. Shu, where are you? Yutian's voice came from the other side of the phone. Yao sis and I are at the hospital. Bro, what's up? Yushu said. If you're free, come and play games with us. Yutian was taken aback when Yushu said that they were in the hospital. He thought that they were sick, but since Yushu said that they were playing games, it was obvious that they were fine. He didn't ask further and said, Jiangwen drank last night and fell asleep on the road. One of his kidneys was cut off by the criminals. If you and Yao are free, why don't you come and see him? We're at Songshan's First People's Hospital, 3rd Inpatient Department, room 218. Holy shit. Yushu's eyes widened and she clapped her hands. Yao sis, let me tell you some super good news. Jiangwen's kidney was cut off, just like Zhong Pingliang. Your pursuers are so pitiful. All of them had their kidneys cut off. Yutian was speechless. This girl of his was too fierce. Even if she didn't like Jiangwen, she didn't have to cheer like that, right? If Jiangwen heard it, wouldn't he be pissed to death? Luckily, he was far away and Jiangwen couldn't hear the conversation. Jiangwen? His kidney was removed? Mingyao paused. She didn't look as happy as Yushu, but she didn't look sad either. Jiangwen and her were drifting apart, and they weren't the big brother next door anymore. Mingyao shook her head. As expected, people couldn't go back to the past when they grew up. Shu, you and Yao should come and take a look, right? No matter what, Jiangwen is a friend from the past. We have a good relationship. Yutian said. Oh, okay. Yao and I don't have anything to do anymore. We can go visit him. It'll be fun. Yushu agreed after some thought. Chen Yutian didn't know what to say. Fun. Jiangwen losing one of his kidneys? Was that fun? However, Chen Yutian couldn't do anything about this weird sister of his. The old man spoiled her and treated her like the treasure of the family. From a certain angle, his sister was indeed very cute. Yao sis, we have a place to play now. Let's go visit Jiangwen in the hospital. His kidney was cut off. It's so fun. Yushu hung up and said to Mingyao. Do you think it was Shield Bro who did it? Lin Yi? Mingyao was startled. Could it be Lin Yi? Why did Lin Yi cut off Jiangwen's kidney? Was it because Jiangwen wanted to chase her and confess to her during dinner yesterday? It didn't seem possible. Lin Yi didn't even like her. Why would he cut off Jiangwen's kidney? It might be possible if she ordered him to do it, but she didn't order him to do it. Mingyao and Yushu told Pengzhan that they were going to visit Jiangwen in Songshan's Songshan First Hospital. Pengzhan was worried about the two of them going out alone. After all, the coma incident had just ended. Pengzhan was like a frightened bird. He asked Faubert to send them off. In the car, Yushu called Lin Yi. Shield Bro, where are you? I'm at Songshan's Songshan First Hospital. Lin Yi picked up Yushu's call in front of Tang Yin. Since Tang Yin already knew about his relationship with Mingyao and Yushu, there was no need to hide it anymore. Oh, that's perfect. Yao and I are going to visit Jiangwen at Songshan's Songshan First Hospital. You can come with us. Yushu said happily when she heard that Lin Yi was going to Songshan First Hospital. Visit Jiangwen? Lin Yi was startled. He thought that this kid's kidney was cut off. Didn't that mean that his kidney was given to Zhong Pingliang? Would that be a match? Yeah, Jiangwen's kidney was cut off. Yushu said happily. Come and protect us. What if Jiangwen goes crazy and beats me and Yao sis up? Lin Yi was speechless. Jiangwen's kidney was cut off. How would he have the strength to beat people up? Beat them up? However, Lin Yi knew Yushu's personality. He said, okay, call me when you arrive. Okay, we'll be there soon. Just wait for us at the entrance of the 3rd hospital. Yushu said. After Yushu hung up, Lin Yi saw Tang Yin looking at him. He smiled. Mingyao and Yushu are here. They are going to visit a patient. They asked me to go with them. Oh, go then. There's nothing else here. Tang Yin wanted to go shopping with Lin Yi after leaving the hospital. The weather was getting hotter and hotter. Tang Yin wanted to buy a pair of shorts. She wanted to go to the night market, but she couldn't do that today. If there's something else, I'll come back later? Lin Yi saw that Tang Yin wanted to say something but stopped. It seemed like she had something to tell him. Okay, let's see the time. Tang Yin said happily. Lin Yi said goodbye to Mr. Tang and Mrs. Tang before leaving for the third hospital department. He saw Li Fu's Bentley at the bottom of the building, arriving just in time to see Li Fu's car. Meng Yao and Yushu got off the car hand in hand. Yushu waved at Lin Yi. Miss only glanced at Lin Yi indifferently as a greeting. Lin Yi knew what Miss was thinking. He didn't want to argue with her. He smiled. You're visiting a patient. Don't you want to bring some gifts? Oh, we need to celebrate. I'll go buy some firecrackers. Yushu thought for a while and said seriously. Chapter 699. Angered again, you're right. Let's have a big meal to celebrate later? Yushu nodded, giving up on the idea of buying firecrackers. The three of them entered the first inpatient department and went up to the second floor. When they arrived at the door of room 218, they saw a policeman patrolling nearby. Seeing that the three of them were about to enter the ward, someone immediately stopped them. May I ask who you are looking for? Yutian came with Lingshan, so naturally the police let them pass. But Lin Yi, Meng Yao, and Yushu, although they looked harmless, couldn't be taken lightly. We're here to see Jiang Wen, Lin Yi said. He didn't expect Jiang Wen to be protected by the police. Jiang Wen is one of the victims we're protecting. May I know your names? I'll have to ask for the names of the victims and their superior. The police officer said. Who's your superior? Lingshan. Or Lu Wangli? Lin Yi didn't expect it to be so troublesome to look after Jiang Wen. You know Captain Song and Captain Lu? The police officer paused. Captain Song is inside. Wait a moment, I'll go get her. After hearing that Lin Yi not only knew Lu Wangli, but also Lingshan, the police officer didn't dare to delay, and went into the room after informing Lin Yi. Captain Song, someone wants to see Jiang Wen and he knows you. The police officer reported. Knows me. Lingshan paused. I'll go take a look. Lingshan saw Lin Yi, Meng Yao, and Yushu when she came out of the room. Lingshan was curious about Lin Yi visiting Jiang Wen. Did Lin Yi know Jiang Wen? Lin Yi. Lingshan looked at Lin Yi, her expression a little unnatural because Meng Yao and Yushu were there too. But she recovered quickly. What was there to be afraid of? They weren't Lin Yi's girlfriends. What did her relationship with Lin Yi have to do with them? Why is Jiang Wen being protected? Lin Yi asked. He's one of the victims of the kidney trafficking organization. We need him to testify, Lingshan said. Do you know him? Yes, but not close. Lin Yi shrugged, finding it funny. Jiang Wen testifying against his own organization? Although Jiang Wen was the mastermind, all the evidence had been erased. Lin Yi didn't want to waste time talking to Lingshan. Lingshan nodded and followed Lin Yi into the room. She looked like a bully, not daring to pass Lin Yi. No one else noticed this detail, not even Meng Yao and Yushu. Yutian, on the other hand, didn't think much about it. He didn't believe that Lingshan would get bullied at all. Shu Yao Yao. Lin Yi, you're here. Yutian said Lin Yi's name unnaturally. He respected Lin Yi very much. He called Lin Yi Instructor Eagle instead of Lin Yi's name. Yushu looked at her brother and then at Lingshan. Her face fell. She couldn't understand why her brother was so stubborn. Lingshan obviously didn't like him, and he was still chasing after her. How embarrassing. Lingshan, this fox, was also a troublemaker. She should be taught a lesson. Yushu's eyes lit up. She had an idea. Jiang Wen was overjoyed to see Meng Yao. Yushu, on the other hand, was automatically ignored by Jiang Wen. But when he saw Lin Yi behind Yushu, his face froze up. Lin Yi knew that he was the head of the kidney trafficking organization. He was going to remove Lin Yi's kidney this morning, but it turned out to be him. However, Lin Yi hated him. Could it be that Lin Yi saved Lingshan? With that thought, Jiang Wen's hatred for Lin Yi grew even thicker, and so did his fear. He was afraid that Lin Yi would reveal his identity to Lingshan, and he was angry that Lin Yi ruined his hard work. However, he didn't consider that if he didn't capture Lin Yi and Lingshan, his kidney trafficking organization wouldn't be destroyed so quickly. Jiang Wen thought about it carefully and let out a breath of relief. So what if Lin Yi told Lingshan? There was no evidence. The tattooed guy would definitely hold on and wouldn't sell him out. The only person who knew his identity, Dr. Wang, had committed suicide. Who else could prove that he was the head of the kidney trafficking organization? Even if he refused to admit it, Lingshan wouldn't be able to do anything to him. People from Housen weren't easy to bully. He believed that Lingshan wouldn't dare to do anything to him without evidence. Jiang Wen felt relieved after thinking about this. He pretended to be fake and said, "Linny bro, you are here too? You still remember me at this time? I will treat you to a meal when I recover." Jiang Wen had to do this to maintain his image in Meng Yao's heart. Otherwise, Meng Yao would think that he was a narrow-minded person. "Oh Jiang Wen bro, you lost a kidney. Can you still recover? You won't die, right?" Yushu didn't wait for Lin Yi to speak and spoke first. "Wah." Jiang Wen was stunned. His face turned red from Yushu's words. He cursed in his heart. "Motherfucker, would you die if you lost a kidney? Can't you not piss me off?" However, Jiang Wen didn't dare to scold Yushu. He didn't dare to offend House Qin. Plus, Qin Yutian was in the ward. Plus, Yushu was Meng Yao's best friend. If he scolded her, he wouldn't be able to recover. "Shu, don't talk nonsense. Losing a kidney will only affect your health. You won't die." Qin Yutian couldn't do anything to his sister. He could only explain to her. "Oh, I see. I think so too." Yushu nodded. "I heard that a man is not a complete man if he lost a kidney. Jiang Wen bro, your dream of having sex with Yao Yao sis is gone. Plus, you won't be able to have a threesome." Wah. Jiang Wen's face turned purple. He didn't expect Yushu to be so evil. She touched his sore spot. He shouldn't have let her come. Did she really want to embarrass him in front of Meng Yao? "Shu, don't talk nonsense. Even if he is a man, I won't have sex with him." Meng Yao frowned. She felt that Yushu was going overboard. It was as if she agreed to have sex with Jiang Wen. Meng Yao's words, however, had a different meaning to them. Jiang Wen felt a chill run down his spine. Even if he was a man? Was he not a man now? Chapter 700. Lingshan frowned. Lingshan frowned. "Meng Yao, Yushu, please watch your words. Jiang Wen's a victim, and his injuries and emotions aren't stable yet. Please don't provoke him." "How did I provoke him?" Yushu didn't have a good impression of Lingshan. "I'm just stating the truth. My brother said that losing a kidney will affect his health." Yutian smiled bitterly as he lowered his head. On one side was his sister, and on the other side was Lingshan. Who should he help? Who could he help? How? Lingshan glared at Yutian. "What are you standing there for? Go get the doctor." "I'll go right now." Yutian nodded and went to get the doctor. Yushu was about to explode. What was wrong with this brother of hers? He was like a mouse in front of a cat in front of Lingshan, so careful and careful. Why was he so soft? She was his sister, and he didn't even care about what that fox said. He even went to get the doctor for Lingshan? "Bro, you can't go." Yushu stood in front of Yutian, staring at him angrily. "She insulted your sister. How could you let her bully me like that?" "Shoo." Yutian didn't know what to do. Lingshan wasn't bullying Yushu, was she? She was just being strict with her words. As expected, he's unreliable. Yushu was disappointed to see Yutian in a dilemma. Shield Bro was still the best. He would always help her and stand by her side. Yes, she would only be good to Shield Bro in this life. Even her own brother couldn't do it. Lin Yi was surprised by Yutian's actions, but from Yushu's reaction, he could guess what was going on. Yutian was Lingshan's pursuer? Someone was pursuing Miss Song? "Shu, I'll go get the doctor." Yutian saw the disappointment in his sister's eyes, but there was nothing he could do. Lingshan was the one who told him to get the doctor, and Jiang Wen was unconscious. He didn't want anything to happen to him. No, Yushu disagreed. This wasn't as simple as finding a doctor anymore. This was a battle between Lingshan and Lingshan. Yushu really didn't understand. Why was her brother like Lingshan so much? Her brother was very outstanding, okay? Although he wasn't as good as Shield Bro, he was still the eldest grandson of the Chen family. What kind of girl couldn't he get? Yushu and Lingshan had always been on good terms since they were young, and that was why Yushu was targeting Lingshan. Mengyao couldn't stand it anymore, but she knew Shu's personality. She might look like a fool, but when she was really stubborn, no one could stop her. This was the reason why Shu stayed by her side when she fainted. Mengyao was very touched. Yushu's words and suggestions sometimes made her feel awkward, like mistresses and threesomes, but Mengyao knew that Yushu really didn't want to be separated from her. She wanted to be with her forever. Linny didn't expect Yushu and Lingshan to fight like this, but Yutian was indeed a little weak, and Linny couldn't stand it anymore. He said faintly, "No need, Jiangwen won't die for now." Yutian opened his mouth, but he could only bite the bullet and say, "Okay." Lin Yi was the person Yutian admired the most, and it was because of Lin Yi that he changed. Otherwise he would still be a spoiled brat, hanging out with Jiangwen every day. Lingshan on the other hand looked at Yutian surprised. Lin Yi's words worked this well? Why did Yutian agree to it so easily? Lingshan felt like she had lost face, and Yutian didn't listen to her with her strong personality, but when she remembered that it was Lin Yi, she calmed down immediately. She could only blame her bad luck for being bullied by Lin Yi. Would she dare to complain? She didn't at the moment. But today, Yutian made Lingshan look at him in a different light. For the first time, he was strong. It was a pity that Lingshan didn't like him. Changing his personality wouldn't change her feelings. Yushu paused, looking at her brother in disbelief. He didn't even listen to her, but he listened to Shield Bro? Yutian, on the other hand, was surprised. Lingshan didn't insist on going to the doctor anymore. Lin Yi didn't say anything else. He walked to Jiangwen's bedside and pressed on his head a couple of times. Jiangwen woke up immediately. Jiangwen jumped when he saw Lin Yi pressing on his head. Was Lin Yi going to kill him? But then he remembered that Lingshan and Yutian were here. Lin Yi wouldn't dare to kill him. Of course, if only Lin Yi and Yushu were here, Jiangwen wouldn't feel at ease. That girl would definitely work with Lin Yi to kill him. It was too scary. "Thank you, Brother Lin. My body isn't too good and I fainted." Jiangwen thanked Lin Yi. "You're welcome. We're even now," Lin Yi said faintly. Jiangwen paused, but he understood what Lin Yi meant. Lin Yi was referring to how he knocked him out before, and how he woke him up now. Of course, only Jiangwen could understand what he was saying. "Oh Jiangwen bro, you're awake." Yushu looked at Jiangwen apologetically. "I'm sorry, I won't talk nonsense again." "Haha, it's fine." What else could Jiangwen say? He didn't want to argue with Yushu. He couldn't afford to. His life would be shortened if he did. "Oh, let's take a photo with Jiangwen bro. Losing a kidney is something to remember. This is the only time he'll ever lose one in his life. He can't lose one in the future." Yushu clapped her hands and suggested. Jiangwen almost fainted again when he heard Yushu's words. What was so memorable about losing a kidney? Only once in his life. Wasn't that obvious? Wouldn't he die if he lost one more time? But Yushu wasn't as sharp this time, so he couldn't argue back. He could only pretend that he didn't understand what Yushu was trying to say. Plus, he was very willing to take a photo with Mengyao. Chapter 701. Will be missed. Oh, it's time to take a picture. Yao Yao, come quick. Yushu waved at Mengyao. Mengyao didn't want to join in the fun, but seeing how excited Yushu was, she didn't object. She walked over and stood beside Yushu, not standing right next to Jiangwen. This disappointed Jiangwen a little. "Bro, you come too." Yushu waved and turned to Lin Yi. "Shield bro, stand behind me and Yao Yao to protect us. I'll take the picture for you guys, I'll pass." Lin Yi felt that there was no point in taking pictures with Jiangwen. "No, there's only Lingshan sis here. She's the only outsider here. Come quick." Yushu started targeting Lingshan again. Lingshan was about to say, "Why should I take a picture for you guys?" She was a police. She had no obligation to take a family picture for you guys. Plus, so what if she was an outsider? Who would want to be part of your family? But Lingshan didn't get to say anything before Lin Yi spoke up. Alright." With that, he walked over and stood behind Yushu and Mengyao. This put Lingshan in a difficult situation. Lin Yi was already there. Should she take the picture or not? "I don't have a camera." Lingshan felt like a punching bag. How embarrassing. "Lingshan sis, you have a phone. The resolution is really high. The beach castle you took for me last time was really pretty." Yushu didn't want to let Lingshan go. She wanted Lingshan to lose face in front of her brother. She wanted her brother to see that the arrogant girl he liked was just a punching bag in front of Shield Bro. Lingshan was furious. If it weren't for Lin Yi, she wouldn't have gone to take pictures of that beach castle. Was she an idiot? Oh. It seemed like Lin Yi thought she was an idiot. No obligation. Lingshan said coldly. Alright Lingshan, hurry up and take one. Lin Yi frowned. This Lingshan was too much. There were so many people standing here. And she was still trying to make excuses? Even if she had some conflict with Yushu, he was still standing here. Lingshan froze upon hearing Lin Yi's words. Lin Yi was still standing there. Wouldn't Lin Yi be mad if she didn't film it? She remembered that Lin Yi had called her Song Lingshan and not dumb girl. And that made her a little happier. Luckily, Lin Yi had given her face in front of all these people, otherwise she'd lose all her face if he'd called her dumb girl. Alright. Lingshan quickly took out her phone to take a picture, thinking that she'd almost pissed off Lin Yi today because of Yushu. Yushu was very pleased with herself. It seemed that Lingshan was very afraid of Shield Bro. Every time Shield Bro spoke, Lingshan would listen to him. Yutian, on the other hand, was even more surprised. Lingshan didn't say anything when Lin Yi stopped him from going to the doctor, and Yutian thought that Lingshan and Lin Yi didn't know each other well, so she didn't want to refute Lin Yi's words. But now, it seemed like that wasn't the case at all. Lin Yi's words seemed to be very effective on Lingshan. As long as Lin Yi said it, Lingshan would do it. Just what was their relationship? Was it a superior and a subordinate? Otherwise, with Lingshan's personality, when had she ever been so easily bullied? Lingshan took the picture and smiled as she passed the phone to Lin Yi. Lin Yi, what do you think? It's all right. Lin Yi nodded after taking a look. Then little dumb girl. I'll send it to you when I get back. Is it the same as last time? Lingshan didn't pay attention, and almost blurted out the words. She realized that she wasn't talking to Lin Yi in private, and quickly changed her words. Alright. Lin Yi was already used to Lingshan's attitude, so he didn't think anything was wrong. But Yutian was shocked. Lingshan's attitude could only be described as fawning. When had Lingshan ever talked to a man in such a nice and friendly manner? She actually talked to Lin Yi in this tone? Yushu and Meng Yao, on the other hand, didn't think much of it. They knew that Lin Yi was very strong, and Lingshan even asked for help from Lin Yi. Jiang Wen, on the other hand, didn't expect Lin Yi and Lingshan to be this close. If he knew this would happen, he would have let Lingshan go, and things wouldn't have turned out like this. There was no point in staying here after the photo was taken. Yushu came here to mock Jiang Wen, and it was time to leave now that the fun was over. Yao Yao sis, let's go. We've already taken a souvenir, and we'll miss Jiang Wen bro. Yushu paused on purpose before continuing. About the kidney. Jiang Wen was cursing Yushu in his heart. He wasn't dead yet. How could she miss him? He waited for a long time, and it turned out that she was missing the kidney. He knew that he was tricked by Yushu again. Lingshan controlled her emotions this time. With Lin Yi around, she decided to behave herself. It wouldn't be fun if Lin Yi got angry. Yutian could only smile bitterly at his sister. He couldn't control her. She had been like this since she was young. As for Lin Yi, although Yutian had many questions he wanted to ask, he knew that even if he asked, Lin Yi might not answer. Plus, Lin Yi had already said that he was just his sister's follower. His sister's follower? His sister was too amazing. Meng Yao and Yushu said goodbye to Yutian and left the room. Lin Yi, on the other hand, nodded to Yutian and Lingshan before leaving the room with Meng Yao and Yushu. As for Jiang Wen, Lin Yi completely ignored him. After leaving the room, Yushu couldn't hold it in anymore and laughed. Ha ha ha, I'm so happy. That fox Lingshan is completely suppressed by Shield Bro. Let's see if she can still pretend to be arrogant now, ha 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 ha. Yushu was really happy. She hated Lingshan ever since she was young. She thought that Lingshan stole her brother from her. But as she grew older, she realized that it was her brother who pursued Lingshan. And Lingshan didn't like her brother. In Yushu's young heart, she thought that her brother was the best boy in the world. Lingshan was blind to look down on her brother. Chapter 702. Chapter 702. The Miss Inner World. Meng Yao looked at Lin Yi faintly, not saying anything. She felt as if there was a barrier between her and Lin Yi. And there was an inexplicable feeling whenever she looked at Lin Yi. We have to have a big feast to celebrate today. Yushu seemed to be really happy. There are 3 big things happening today. First, we have to celebrate Yao Yao's coma. Shoo! What did you say? Mingyao almost fell down from her anger. Celebrate being poisoned? Was there something wrong with this Shu? Was she gloating? Oh Yao Yao, don't be mad, I'm not done yet. Yushu waved her hand, feeling wronged. What I meant was, we have to celebrate Yao Yao's coma. She's bound to be blessed after surviving a disaster. Mingyao blushed. It seemed like she'd misunderstood Shu. She glared at her. Can't you make it clear? I did, but I was interrupted. Yushu said weakly. You're still talking? Mingyao made a move to tear Yushu's mouth apart. Oh. Don't, I'm the mistress. I don't want to be like this. Yushu cried out. Then don't be the mistress. Mingyao was just trying to scare her. She didn't really want to tear Yushu's mouth off, but she didn't expect Yushu to start talking nonsense again. I'll be the mistress then. Yushu said after some thought. Suit yourself. Mingyao rolled her eyes, not knowing what to say. Then I'll continue. This is the first thing. The second thing is that we have to celebrate Jiangwen losing a kidney, so that he can't bother Yao Yao anymore. Yushu said. Mingyao and Jiangwen were pretty close when they were young, and although they weren't that close anymore, she still felt some sympathy for Jiangwen losing a kidney. It would be too much to celebrate, and so Mingyao didn't support Shu's suggestion. The third thing is to embarrass Fox Song. I'm so happy. Yushu said excitedly. So we have to go and celebrate. Mingyao nodded. Escaping death was something to be thankful for. She looked at Lin Yi and asked faintly, Are you free? Lin Yi was slightly startled. How could the eldest miss speak to him in such a tone? It didn't look like it. In the past, they would always order him to take them out to eat without asking if he was free. Mingyao's attitude made Lin Yi a little embarrassed. He wanted to go back to Tang Yun after visiting Jiangwen, but it seemed like he could only accompany the miss for dinner. I originally asked Tang Yun to buy something, but I can cancel it, Lin Yi said. Let's ask her to come with us then. Mingyao said after some hesitation. Ah. Lin Yi froze on the spot, and looked at Mingyao in disbelief. Wasn't the miss and Tang Yun never on good terms? Why was she bringing Tang Yun out to eat today? What did this mean? Why are you looking at me like that? Mingyao frowned. She felt a little guilty being stared at by Lin Yi. In fact, she didn't like this feeling. Ever since Lin Yi saw her body and she peed on Lin Yi, Mingyao instinctively felt guilty and shy in front of Lin Yi. She was no longer as arrogant and strong as before. She was the miss, his employer. How could she feel guilty in front of him? So Mingyao tried to make her tone and attitude as cold as possible to cover up the nervousness in her heart. You want to treat her? Lin Yi asked. Oh, Yao Yao sis finally wants to negotiate with Tang Yun. That's great. Yushu didn't know what Mingyao was thinking. She cheered according to her own understanding. Negotiate. Lin Yi looked at Yushu. Was the miss going to have a showdown with Tang Yun? Lin Yi had a headache thinking about the scene during lunch. On one side was his employer, and on the other side was his girlfriend. The miss was a prideful person. She must have her face. Shu, what are you talking about? What judgment? Mingyao glared at her. I just want to thank her. In fact, Mingyao thought so too. When she was in the hospital, she heard Tang Yun calling Lin Yi. At that moment, she felt that Tang Yun was actually a good girl. She always appeared in front of her as a love rival. When her life was in danger, Tang Yun didn't want her to die and gloat. Instead, she asked Lin Yi to save her. Mingyao was touched. She was really touched. The miss didn't lack money, but she lacked love. Although Pengzhan gave her enough fatherly love, he was too busy. No matter how much he loved Mingyao, the time he could spend with her was limited. For a long time, the miss and Shu depended on each other. This caused the miss to have a cold personality. She would treat others well because she was kind. She didn't say it out loud. When Lin Yi first came, the miss instinctively rejected him. She didn't understand Lin Yi. She didn't know Lin Yi's personality. With Mingyao's closed personality, it was already the limit for her to accept Lin Yi living in the villa. But as time went on, Mingyao realized that Lin Yi was really, really good to her. So good that it was unbelievable. He would risk his life for her and accompany her to be a hostage. Meng Yao remembered this friendship deeply in her heart. But because of her personality, she couldn't say many words of gratitude. At home, Lin Yi often cooked for her and Shu. He took care of her and Shu like a big brother. It made Meng Yao feel warm and comfortable. Since young, no one had ever treated her so well. Meng Yao, who didn't have a mother's love, cherished this kind of relationship. No matter how good Pingzhan was to her, he couldn't cook for her every day. He couldn't take care of her every day. Even if Faubert came to deliver food every day, he would bring it back from a big restaurant. How could it be the same as cooking for her? And so, as Meng Yao slowly accepted Lin Yi's existence, she started to rely on him in a way that was hard to detect. It was as if Lin Yi was omnipotent, and no matter what happened, he would be able to solve it easily. Chapter 703. Protecting happiness. However, Tang Yun's appearance infuriated the miss. It was as if someone had taken away her most cherished possession. Meng Yao felt that Tang Yun had stolen Lin Yi. How could she just sit back and do nothing? She just had a warm feeling in the house. How could she let someone else take away her happiness? As for all the stuff about how Lin Yi couldn't see that there were pretty girls in the house, and how he went out to flirt with them, it was just an excuse. The real reason was that the miss had been lacking warmth since she was young. Meng Yao was like a safe, purposely hiding her feelings. She didn't want to admit that there was a warm feeling in the house with Lin Yi. This was the softness in the miss heart, and she didn't want others to know. Although sometimes she felt that this Lin Yi was annoying, it felt good to live under the same roof as him. If it was possible, Meng Yao hoped that this kind of life could continue. However, Tang Yun's appearance brought Meng Yao back to reality from her dream. Her dreams were shattered in an instant. Yes, Lin Yi would leave the villa sooner or later and start his own life. He would have a girlfriend, and he would have his own family. But Meng Yao didn't think that this day would come so soon. So she was filled with hostility towards Tang Yun, and wanted to chase her away from Lin Yi. She would never allow Tang Yun to destroy her warm home. She wanted Lin Yi to prepare breakfast for her and Shu every day. She wanted Lin Yi to be the first to appear when she and Shu were in trouble. So that night, when she saw Lin Yi injured, and when she saw Tang Yun, Meng Yao was furious. Why? Lin Yi was a member of the villa. Why would he get injured because of Tang Yun? And so the first clash between Meng Yao and Tang Yun began. The miss was furious, and without thinking, she declared war on Tang Yun. This declaration led to the second clash in the cafeteria at noon. However, Tang Yun's kindness woke Miss up in an instant. Yes, what did Tang Yun do wrong? Wasn't it Lin Yi who pursued her? How could he blame her? However, Meng Yao really didn't want her to take Lin Yi away from the villa. But after what happened today, after what he'd seen her naked body, and after she'd pissed all over him so awkwardly, could their relationship still be the same? Would he look down on her? Laugh at me? Even if he didn't, how could he face Lin Yi? Annoying, really annoying. Meng Yao felt like she was going to die from annoyance. She'd never been this annoyed in her entire life. So at this moment, Miss decided that she would treat Tang Yun to a meal to express her gratitude. No matter what, they didn't owe each other anymore. The miss didn't want to owe anyone anything, especially Tang Yun. How she handled her relationship with Lin Yi was her own business. She didn't want to be held back by Tang Yun because she owed Tang Yun a favor. Miss was a smart person and naturally understood this. Miss's words made Lin Yi a little surprised. However, he still took out his phone and called Tang Yun. No matter what, Lin Yi also wanted to ease the relationship between Miss and Tang Yun. Otherwise, it would be troublesome for him to be stuck in the middle in the future. Lin Yi, have you settled the things on your side? Tang Yun was very happy after receiving Lin Yi's call. She had been waiting in the ward. She wanted to call Lin Yi to ask if he could come back at night, but she was afraid that it would affect Lin Yi's work and make things difficult for him. So she didn't call. And it's done, Lin Yi said. I just left the inpatient department. Then, can you come back? Tang Yun hesitated and asked. Yao Yao said that she wants to treat you to a meal. Do you want to come? Lin Yi asked. Meng Yao? Treat me to a meal? Tang Yun was slightly stunned. She felt that it was a bit unbelievable. Why would Meng Yao treat her to a meal? Express your gratitude? Lin Yi said. Ah, gratitude? Tang Yin understood immediately that Meng Yao was thanking her for calling Lin Yi and asking him to treat Meng Yao's illness. However, Tang Yin was still a little hostile towards the miss, so she didn't want to go. I won't go, will I? It's not good, right? You don't want to come? Then forget it. Lin Yi also guessed what Tang Yin was thinking. She must still have some grudges with Mississippi. Meng Yao wanted to take the phone and talk to Tang Yin personally, but she couldn't lower her face. So she gave Yushu a look, wanting her to say it for her. Yao sis, look, Tang Yin doesn't dare to come, right? Yushu blinked her eyes and moved closer to Lin Yi's phone. Meng Yao was so angry that she started trembling. This Yushu was really pissing her off. She asked Yushu to invite Tang Yin for her, but she said this kind of thing? Wasn't this continuing to be Tang Yin's enemy? Tang Yin heard Yushu's words and panicked. Who said I don't dare to come? I'll go now. Needless to say, Yushu's provocation worked. No matter what, Tang Yin had already made her decision. Let's meet at the parking lot in front of the hospital, Lin Yi said. Okay, I'll go now. Tang Yin didn't want Yushu to look down on her, as if she was afraid of them. After hanging up, Yushu cheered before Lin Yi could say anything. Yarao sis, I'm amazing, right? I tricked Tang Yin to come with just one sentence. You tricked her to come, but I wanted to thank you. How can I thank you like this? Meng Yao shook her head helplessly. You can thank me when she comes. I just tricked her to come. Yushu said innocently. Meng Yao didn't want to argue with Yushu. It would only make her headache worse. She turned to Lin Yi. Did you drive a car? Shu's Beetle can barely fit 4 people, Lin Yi said. Oh, I'll sit in the back with Shu, Meng Yao nodded. Next time, drive the S5. Lin Yi nodded. He didn't dare to touch the Miss car before, but now it seemed that the Miss didn't care about this kind of thing at all. I want to sit in the front. I can point the way for Shield Bro. I know a super cool Western restaurant. Yushu didn't want to sit in the back. It was unknown if she did it on purpose, but Meng Yao and Tang Yin sat together. You can also point the way from the back, Meng Yao said. I'm nearsighted. I can't see the back clearly. Yushu shook her head. Chapter 704. Chapter 704 Jealous. Oh, I'm fine now. I can see clearly again. Yushu waved her hands. Meng Yao glared at her. She'd been glaring at Yushu all day long, and her own eyes were starting to hurt. Lin Yi had long since gotten used to Meng Yao and Yushu's bickering. The two had always been like this, bickering, but their relationship was frighteningly good. Meng Yao pulled Yushu to the back seat. The Beetle wasn't big, but it was more than enough to fit 2 petite girls. Yushu was a little uncomfortable. It's so cramped, I want to sit in the front. Your boobs are too big, so it's cramped. Just cut them off. Meng Yao said, a little pissed off. Lin Yi wasn't in the car at the moment, leaning against the driver's door, waiting for Tang Yin. Meng Yao dared to say something like that, but Lin Yi's hearing was better than a normal person's, and he heard everything clearly. Yao Yao, you're jealous of me. Yushu covered her boobs as she looked at Meng Yao cautiously. Who cares? There's a lot of people with big boobs. It's not that rare anymore. Meng Yao curled her lips. That's true. The main wife and the second wife have their own specialties. It's not good to have the same. It's not attractive. Yushu nodded in agreement. Meng Yao didn't know how to respond to Yushu's words, so she kept quiet. Soon, Tang Yin walked out of the first ward and ran over to Lin Yi as soon as she saw him. Through the car window, Lin Yi could see that Tang Yin's body was well proportioned. Her boobs weren't too big, but they weren't too small either. Her legs were straight and long, and her height wasn't any lower than Meng Yao's. Her ponytail swayed in the car park under the light of the setting sun, giving off an indescribable feeling of youth. Meng Yao had to admit that Tang Yin was perfect, a typical pretty girl. It made her a little jealous. There's 2 of us, we won't lose to her, Yushu said, seeing Tang Yin's unwillingness to lose. Meng Yao was speechless. Was this a human wave tactic? A 3-team tactic? Wouldn't it be embarrassing even if they won? Besides, when was she going to marry Lin Yi? She just felt that he took good care of her. Tang Yin paused when she saw the Beetle behind Lin Yi. She had been in this car before, but it wasn't Lin Yi's car. It should be Meng Yao or Yushu's. Did you wait for a long time? I'm sorry. Tang Yin fixed the bangs in front of her forehead and apologized. She couldn't lose her composure in front of Meng Yao, Otherwise she wouldn't have said that. It's fine, get in. Linny opened the door for Tang Yin. Tang Yin saw Meng Yao and Yushu sitting at the back and felt a little embarrassed. I don't think it's appropriate for me to sit at the front. Oh, that's great. I want to sit in the front. Let's swap seats. Yushu was happy to see that Tang Yin was still unwilling to sit in front. Shu, shut up. Meng Yao covered Yushu's mouth and glared at her before turning to Tang Yin. You're the guest, of course you should sit in the front. In fact, Meng Yao thought the same. The car was small, and it wasn't appropriate for Tang Yin to sit in the back. Tang Yin was a little embarrassed when she heard that Yushu wanted to sit in the front, but it wasn't appropriate for her to sit next to the Mississippi. She was in a dilemma. Tang Yin, don't listen to Shu's nonsense. She's always like that, talking nonsense every day. You'll get to know her after spending some time with her. Meng Yao felt a little embarrassed when she saw that Tang Yin was in a dilemma. She did treat them to a meal to thank them, not to declare war. It was hard to say what would happen in the future, but she had to be more sincere today. Haha, okay. Tang Yin smiled, but in her heart, she thought, how could they interact more in the future? The luxurious life that Meng Yao and Yushu lived was too far away from her. She still didn't have a place to buy her own house. Tang Yin got in the car, and Linny followed. He started the car and asked, what do we want to eat? Where to? Listen to me, I know a super cool Western restaurant, Yushu said. Linny saw that Meng Yao didn't object, so he nodded. Okay. Turn left in front. Then turn right again. Go to the high road, go to the upper bridge in the middle. Then go to the lower bridge on the right. Then, Yushu started to give directions. It was more efficient than a navigation system. Linny followed Yushu's directions and stopped the car in front of a restaurant called Super Cool Couple Western Restaurant. Linny was speechless. The name of this restaurant was as shocking as the awesome floating cloud bar. Were these two chain restaurants? Meng Yao looked at the big signboard and didn't know what to say. It was indeed super cool. But was this a couple restaurant? Didn't that mean that only couples would come here? What was with the four of them coming here? Wasn't this combination a little weird? Shu, is this a couple restaurant? Should we go somewhere else? Meng Yao frowned when she saw that all the people coming in and out of the restaurant were couples. We're already here. Why don't we go somewhere else? I'm starving. Yushu shook her head and urged. Meng Yao had no choice but to let Linny park the car and get out. The doorman who parked the car at the entrance of the Western restaurant thought it was a couple getting off the Beetle, but he didn't expect four people to get off. He suddenly felt a little strange. Excuse me, are you all here to eat? Of course, why would we park the car here if we're not here to eat? It's not fun here. Yushu thought that the valet was an idiot, asking stupid questions. Oh, please come in. The valet shook his head. It couldn't be two couples, could it? Was one of them a lesbian? He thought evilly as he invited Lin Yi's group into the restaurant. A waiter came to serve them. Good evening. The manager walked over and greeted politely. Give me a private room. Yushu looked at the layout curiously. She had read about this restaurant on the internet before. It was said that this was a heaven for lovers. Yushu wanted to see it, but she didn't have any lovers. She heard that this place didn't accept couples, so she gave up on the idea. But today was her chance. One room. The lobby manager was slightly startled. One room for the four of you. Yeah. Yushu nodded. Chapter 705. We are a couple, yes, give us a couple's room. Yushu said. I'm sorry, the four of you can only get 2 private rooms. One private room is not allowed. The lobby manager was a little impatient. Are these people looking for trouble? Couples' rooms and seats were charged by the hour. Wouldn't it be a loss for the restaurant to have 4 people in a room? Who said we aren't a couple? Yushu wasn't willing. We are a couple. Huh. 4 people? All of them are couples? The manager didn't believe Yushu's words. He was certain that these 4 were here to cause trouble. But they must be blind to mess around in Lei Bro's place. Were they tired of living? Yeah, I'm Shield Bro's second wife. Yao Yao Sis is Shield Bro's first wife. She's Shield Bro's girlfriend. Why can't we go to the same room? Yushu explained impatiently. Hey Baldy, why are you wasting time? We're here to spend money. Why are you being so nosy? The manager heard Yushu's words and felt disdainful. Wasn't this bullshit tea? First wife, second wife, and a girlfriend? Did she think he was an idiot? Plus, this girl dared to call him Baldy? He was a bald man, okay? It was very popular in the underworld. Spending money? I think you're here to mess around? The manager's attitude turned cold. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you know what's good for you, leave. I don't care who sent you here. Tell him that Lebro's territory is not a place for others to mess around. Is there something wrong with you? What Lebro, Rainbro, Lightning Bro? We're here to eat. Yushu thought that there must be something wrong with this Baldy's brain. The lobby manager sneered and said faintly, our private room can only accommodate 2 people. If you're here to eat, I welcome you. Get 2 rooms. Shoo. Mingyao frowned. She was a miss, a high and mighty existence. When had she ever been looked down upon like this? Especially today, they were here to invite Tang Yin. If they left just like that, what face would they have left? The problem was, if this restaurant really had such a rule, then so be it. Mingyao saw 3 people enter a room with her own eyes. She stopped Shu and told the manager, I saw 3 people enter a room just now. Did I see it wrong? It's in that box. With that, Mingyao pointed at room 101, which wasn't far behind the manager. The manager laughed at Mingyao's words. So you're here to cause trouble? Brother Lei, someone is fucking here. The 4 of them insisted on a private room. The person in room 101 was the owner of this dazzling couple restaurant, Brother Lei. He had indeed brought 2 girls into room 101, because he was preparing to have 3 batches. He was the boss here. Naturally, he could do whatever he wanted. Brother Lei had just entered the private room, and was ready to fight when he heard the manager's shout. He immediately frowned, pushed open the door of the private room and walked out. He said arrogantly, what's going on? Fuck, who's fucking at this time? Do they want to die? Lin Yi understood what was going on from the sidelines. So this lay bro from room 101 was the owner of this Western restaurant. Mingyao's example was useless. He was the boss, so it didn't matter how many people he brought. However, the restaurant's rule was that only couples could enter a room. This was one of the ways the restaurant made money. Otherwise, the restaurant wouldn't be able to make so much money if a large group of people went to a room. The interior design of this restaurant was very high-end. They were relying on the room fees to make money. Usually, couples would go to a room, eat and drink red wine. In this romantic environment, it was inevitable that they would think about sex after they were full, and do something they loved to do. This way, unless it was a quick shooter, it would take a long time. Naturally, they would earn money from the room fees. But if a large group of people went to a room, what else could happen? If they left after eating, how would the restaurant make money? The prices of the dishes here were basically mediocre and not profitable. What they relied on were some attractive decorations and atmosphere. Linny knew these things just by looking at the price list at the door. So it was reasonable that the manager wasn't willing. Linny couldn't be bothered with this. Although this restaurant's operation was a bit unorthodox, they were willing to operate it this way. The Industry and Commerce Bureau didn't find trouble with them. Naturally, Linny wouldn't poke his nose into other people's business. Yao Yao Shu, let's go. Since this restaurant doesn't work, let's go to another one. Linny didn't want to waste his breath here. He knew that Mingyao was afraid of losing face, so he took the initiative to leave. Mingyao heard Lin Yi's words and didn't insist anymore. After all, Lin Yi was the one who suggested leaving first. She didn't have to lose face. She nodded and said, all right, let's go to another one. Seriously, you're crazy to not do business when there's a chance. Yushu wanted to see the room. She heard that there were sex toys for couples. Yushu was very curious, but it seemed like she couldn't do it today. Leibro was originally unhappy that he was interrupted when he was about to play with women. But when he saw Mingyao, Yushu, and Tang Yun, his eyes almost popped out. No way. They were the best, and there were 3 of them at once. Brother Lei had played with quite a number of women. He ran a Western restaurant, and made a lot of money every day. Moreover, he had a cousin who was doing well, so he was rich and arrogant. Naturally, he threatened and tricked pretty girls and got his hands on quite a number of them. But Lei Bro hadn't played with the 3 in front of him before. He had seen pretty girls like these three, but they were all experienced men. They didn't look innocent at all. Lebro didn't have a good time playing with them. But the girls in front of him looked very innocent. They might even be virgins. Lebro wouldn't let them slip away in front of him. What's their background? Lebro whispered to Ma Bailan. 4 of them. They came in a beetle. The man is driving. Marbalin replied in a low voice. Chapter 706. Can't end well. Driving a beetle with 1 girl was considered flashy, but 3 was a little shabby. He might as well drive a hatchback. And these 3 girls were squeezed in the same car with him. They were obviously inexperienced. Who else would squeeze in a car like that? It's my honor that these 3 beauties are here to eat. Bailan, how can you shut them out? Lebro pretended to be angry as he scolded the manager. Ma Bailan paused and understood what Lebro meant. Lebro probably had his eyes on these 3 girls. Heh, these 3 girls were really pretty, but they were unlucky enough to come to Lebro's territory and act arrogantly. Wasn't that like sending sheep into a tiger's mouth? I'm sorry, Lebro. Ma Bailan quickly apologized. He purposely made himself look lowly to highlight Lebro's mighty image. 3 beauties, please come in. Bailan, hurry up and prepare a room. Lebro gave him a look. No need, we won't be eating here. Mengyao felt uncomfortable under Lebro's perverted gaze. She pulled Yushu's hand and prepared to leave. Tang Yin didn't say anything. She didn't need to say anything with Lin Yi here. She knew that Lin Yi wouldn't let anyone bully her. Haha, since you're here, let's eat here. How about I personally toast and apologize to you guys later? Lebro looked at Mengyao with a smile. If you guys are still breathing, I'll pay for everything you spend today free of charge. Lebro wanted to keep Mengyao, Yushu and Tang Yin here. As for Lin Yi, he didn't care about him at all. He didn't think that Lin Yi had a deep relationship with these 3 girls. These 3 girls were obviously prostitutes, so Lebro guessed that Lin Yi was either a normal friend or a pervert like him who had ulterior motives towards these 3 girls. Oh, if that's the case, Yaorao sis, let's do it here? Yushu was tempted. She wanted to see the room in this Western restaurant. Are there any legendary sex toys inside? Mengyao hesitated for a moment, but didn't insist after seeing how much Yushu wanted to stay. All right, but we'll pay for the meal and the room. I don't mind if you want to double it. Mengyao didn't want to owe Lebro any favors, so she was willing to pay double the price. Don't you think it's a loss to have 4 people in a room? Then you can count it as double. Oh, that's great. Seeing that Mengyao had agreed, Yushu pulled Mengyao with her, eager to walk inside. Lin Yi and Tang Yin followed behind them. In front of Miss, Lin Yi was too embarrassed to hold Tang Yin's hand. Wait, you can't go in. Under Brother Lei's signal, Ma Bailan reached out and blocked Lin Yi from going in. Lin Yi frowned slightly. It seemed like Lebro and Ma Bailan had decided to make a big deal out of this. Lin Yi stopped, and so did Mengyao, Yushu, and Tang Yin. Why would they go if Lin Yi couldn't go in? Why don't you let him in? Mengyao frowned as well. Are you going back on your words? I only said to let the 3 beauties in, but I didn't say anything about letting this kid in. Lebro looked at Lin Yi in disdain and said to the 3, ignore him, please come in. We're not eating anymore. Mengyao was furious. This guy didn't let Lin Yi in? What was the point of eating then? Mengyao suppressed her anger. She didn't want Tang Yin to see how unruly her miss was. She said faintly, let's go, Shu. Oh, Yushu nodded obediently this time. What was the point of going to the room if she didn't let Shield Bro in? Even if there were sex toys, who would she play with? Therefore she had lost interest in it. Tang Yin naturally followed Lin Yi. Why would she come if Lin Yi couldn't come in? She turned around and wanted to leave too. What's wrong? You don't want to do me the honor? Lebro felt that he had miscalculated. He didn't expect these 3 beauties to value Lin Yi so much. Before, Lebro didn't think that Lin Yi was important. He thought that he was just a rich guy, but now it seemed like that wasn't the case. If he knew this would happen, he would have let Lin Yi in as well. He would have thought of a way to send Lin Yi away. But now he had already said it. If he let Lin Yi in as well, wouldn't it make him look weak? He was planning to hit on girls. How could he lower his head? Lebro saw that using tricks didn't work, so he had to use force. He had his eyes on these 3 beauties. He couldn't let them go. Move. We don't want to eat anymore. Mengyao had Lin Yi with her, so she wasn't afraid of these people. Do you think that this Western restaurant belongs to your family? Ma Bailin also understood the boss's intention at this moment. Since the soft approach didn't work, he directly used the hard approach. Naturally, Ma Bailin arrogantly blocked the three's path. Yao sis, leave it to me. Yushu saw that the conflict had escalated and immediately got excited. She let go of Mingyao's hand and rushed towards Ma Bailin. Ma Bailin was stunned. He didn't know what Yushu was going to do. In the end, before he could figure out what was going on, a tragedy happened. Yushu's foot landed on Ma Bailin's crotch, and the man's eyes rolled back with a grunt as he crouched on the ground, holding his crotch as beads of sweat dripped down his forehead. Oh yeah, Yushu shouted happily. She made a victory sign with her finger. Yao sis, I actually hit him in one hit. He's even weaker than a shark. Yushu had always been fearless. She dared to fight zombies and sharks, let alone a manager like Ma Bailin. But she didn't expect Ma Bailin to be so weak. One kick and he couldn't get up. In fact, Ma Bailin wasn't weak. He didn't have any defense at all. Because Ma Bailin didn't think that Yushu could do anything to him. Imagine a little girl with a baby face running towards you. What would your first thought be? Who would think that she would use a move like the climax kick? Lin Yi shrugged. It seemed like this wouldn't end well. Lin Yi wasn't a person who liked to bully others. But if someone bullied him, he wouldn't just ignore it. Chapter 707. I'm not ready to leave, but this lay bro who came out later obviously made things complicated. Lin Yi knew what he was thinking. He wanted to keep the three of them here, because of their lust. Lin Yi, naturally, wouldn't let him get away with it. But what Lin Yi didn't expect was that Yushu made a move first. Leibro was also shocked by the scene. He didn't expect a young girl like Yushu to be able to use such a vicious move. It was a direct hit, turning Ma Bailin into a prawn. Ma Bailin was probably in a lot of pain now. It was hard to say if he would ever be able to have sex again. Leibro's face darkened immediately. Good, very good. It's spicy, but I like it. Leibro looked at Yushu with a lustful desire to conquer her. Let's call it a day. I'm in a good mood. I don't want to do anything to you, and I won't come here again. What do you think? Lin Yi looked at Leibro and said faintly. His eyes looked like he was giving charity. In fact, in Lin Yi's eyes, he was really nothing. Since Yushu had taught them a lesson, Lin Yi didn't want to mess with them anymore. They were supposed to celebrate today, and Lin Yi didn't want to spoil the mood because of these small fries. Wah. Leibro paused, then laughed out loud. He looked at Lin Yi as if he was looking at an idiot. Ma Bailin, who was crouching on the ground, couldn't help but laugh as well. It was a happy laugh, as if he had forgotten the pain in his body. Shield bro, are they stupid? Yushu looked at Leibro and Ma Bailin oddly. How could people laugh so happily all of a sudden? Did he suffer some kind of shock? Shoo. Mengyao signaled Yushu not to say anything at this time. Yushu's kick had made things complicated, and they didn't know if it would end well. Mengyao didn't want to waste time with these people. She really wanted to treat Tangyan to a meal. Oh, I got it. Yushu called out in sudden realization. They're so happy because Shield Bro said he'd let them go. They're so happy. Mengyao, Lin Yi, and Tangyan couldn't help but laugh at Yushu's words. However, Lin Yi and Mengyao were already used to it. Tangyan finally understood what Mengyao meant in the car. This was Yushu's personality. She'd understand it after interacting with her more. She was indeed a very cheerful girl. She was always so happy and didn't feel nervous at all. Chick, your joke isn't funny. Brother Lei clapped his hands and said, Today, none of you can leave. Just as Brother Lei was clapping, a group of men in black suits quickly ran over and surrounded Lin Yi and the other three. The leader, who had a scar on his face, turned to Brother Lei respectfully and said, Brother Lei, what do we do now? Beat the man until he's disabled and throw him out. Knock the woman out and keep her. Brother Lei's face showed a ruthless expression. His restaurant was wrecked. If word got out, he wouldn't be able to live in this world anymore. Oh, you called for help. Usually, the antagonist in the cartoon would do this after getting beaten up. But do you know the consequences? Yushu suddenly asked. The entire restaurant was filled with a tense atmosphere. However, after Yushu's words, everyone's face showed a strange expression. The atmosphere suddenly became less tense. Wasn't this chick scared? There were so many people standing here. How could she still have the mood to talk about such strange things? Chick, your chest is pretty big. I like it. Brother Lei looked at Yushu and licked his lips. I can tell you the consequences. You'll become my plaything. Brother Lei wasn't a fool, and he didn't dare to mess with just anyone. However, he had heard from Ma Bailan that the four of them came in a beetle. What background could they have? If there were only 2 people, he would have to think about it. But there were 4 of them. Other than the man, no one else had a car. Which rich kid didn't have a car? Besides, Brother Lei knew about the famous young masters in Songshan. He had never seen Lin Yi before. So he was unscrupulous. Bang! Yushu, on the other hand, kicked out abruptly while Lei Bro was talking, landing another kick on the knife-scarred man who was surrounding her. The knife-scarred man had turned his head to look at Lei Bro, and Yushu's kick caught him off guard. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets, and he cried out in pain as he squatted on the ground, clutching his chest. Oh! I kicked him again. These people are worse than sharks. They're so weak. Yushu cheered. Yao Yao sis, come and play. It's so fun. Brother Lei's face darkened. This was a provocation. Yushu still dared to hit his men in front of so many people. She didn't respect him at all. He laughed coldly. Don't waste time talking to them. Just go. If the woman resists, take her down too. Meng Yao looked at Yushu helplessly. She made things worse. Luckily Lin Yi was here. They didn't have to worry about not being able to leave. Are you really not letting us go? Lin Yi looked at Brother Lei. Ha! Do you know who I am? No one has ever been able to walk out of my territory standing up. Brother Lei laughed arrogantly. All of you have to stay here today, especially that girl. I don't mind telling you that my cousin is Li Zihua. You should know your place. If you know what's good for you, serve me well. Even if you kneel and beg me, I'll consider letting you leave. Your cousin is Li Zihua? Lin Yi was surprised. No wonder their names were so cool. One was Zihua, and the other was Lei. One was Floating Cloud Bar, and the other was Western Restaurant. It was a perfect match. Now you know how to be afraid? Brother Lei enjoyed this feeling. Every time he mentioned his cousin's name, the people who came to him would be scared shitless. They would also give out their women for him to play with. This time Brother Lei thought the same. He wanted the 3 girls to take the initiative to serve him. There was no point in forcing them. Chapter 708. Not done yet. Since Li Delay was Zihua's cousin, Lin Yi planned to use him to test the doctor, besides Zihua, the person who poisoned him. Lin Yi, be careful. Tang Yun saw Lin Yi walking towards the men in black, and quickly reminded him. Tang Yun, you don't understand Shield Bro. It's the bad guys who need to be careful. Yushu said to Tang Yun. Tang Yun pouted, wondering why she didn't understand Lin Yi at all. She knew him very well, okay? How could these thieves be a match for Lin Yi? Wasn't she just worried about him? I'm telling him to be careful. Don't hurt them. Tang Yun said. Oh, it's fine even if they're hurt. We're just defending ourselves. That vixen Lingshan is very afraid of Shield Bro anyway. Yushu said nonchalantly. Li Delay's expression changed. He didn't expect these people to be so fearless in this situation. There were only 2 possibilities. First, they were ignorant and fearless. They were all idiots. The second possibility was that they had absolute confidence in leaving this place. Before, Li Delay thought that it was the first possibility and thought it was funny. But now, Li Delay was leaning towards the second possibility. After hearing Xihua's name, not only was Lin Yi not afraid, but he even walked up to them and said that he wasn't leaving. Of course, this wasn't the main point. The main point was that Yushu mentioned Song Lingshan. She even dared to call Song Lingshan a vixen? Li Delay wasn't unfamiliar with Song Lingshan's name. She was the captain of the criminal investigation team in the city police station. How could people like them who mingled in the underworld not have heard of it? Could these people be related to Song Lingshan? Li Delay was nervous at the thought. He hesitated and decided to find out more about these people. Guys, you must have something to rely on if you dare to come here, right? Tell us. Don't ruin the Dragon King's temple. Lin Yi could naturally tell that Li Delay was compromising. He changed his mind after hearing Lingshan's name. It didn't matter if Li Delay had a powerful background or not, Lingshan could still deal with him. Of course, it would probably be very difficult to directly put him in prison, but if he came looking for trouble from time to time, it would be enough to make him suffer. How could someone like Li Delay not have any evidence? It was obviously impossible. However, Lin Yi didn't reply. His fate was sealed the moment Lin Yi found out about his relationship with Zihua. He was destined to be Lin Yi's test subject against Zihua, or the poisoner beside Master Bing. Since you guys don't want to tell me, then I can't do anything about it. I don't care if you guys have any background, but you have to give me an explanation for messing around in my Western restaurant. Take him down. Li Delay said indifferently. He wasn't afraid of anything. So what if he knew Lingshan? If he didn't touch those girls, that would be the end of it. Beating that brat up could be considered as relieving his anger and getting back some face. Even if Lingshan knew about it, she wouldn't do anything to him. At most, she would just compensate him with some money. The men in black looked at Lin Yi cautiously, but they weren't too afraid. After all, they had the absolute advantage in numbers. On Lin Yi's side, Lin Yi was the only one who could make a move. As for Yushu, they didn't put her in their eyes at all. She was just a sneak attack. She didn't have any combat ability. Their eyes were all on Lin Yi. The moment Lin Yi got close, they moved. They didn't let their guard down and attacked together. They were ready to take down Lin Yi in one go. They had lost all their face, and they wanted to get it back. But they had a good idea. They moved and Lin Yi moved as well, but Lin Yi's speed was much faster than theirs. Before they could see what was going on, they felt a sharp pain in their necks, and their vision went black. They didn't know what happened after that. Oh, Shield Bro, you're amazing. But can you leave one for me? I haven't had enough. Yushu screamed excitedly. You're a little late. Lin Yi just knocked out the last man, and he was falling to the ground. However, Lin Yi pulled him back and gave him a massage before pushing him to Yushu. But it's okay, I woke him up. Oh. Yushu looked at Lin Yi with admiration. He was amazing. He could wake someone up after knocking them out? Yushu looked at the black-clothed man wobbling towards her eagerly, ready to make her move. The black-clothed man's face was filled with terror, but he didn't have the strength to fight back at all. Lin Yi's push sent him stumbling towards Yushu's direction, as if he was doing an inertial exercise. He didn't know what happened to him. Why couldn't he control himself? In fact, Lin Yi did something to him. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't have allowed such a dangerous person to get close to Yushu and the others. However, the man in black was like a puppet. He couldn't resist at all. Not only the man in black, but even Li Delay's eyes were filled with shock and fear. He was afraid that Lin Yi could knock out his men in an instant, but now he was afraid that Lin Yi could wake him up after knocking him out. However, what happened next was even more terrifying. Li Delay watched as his last man was kicked in the crotch by Yushu. His eyes rolled back, and he fainted on the ground while foaming at the mouth. Although the diners in the Western restaurant also heard the sound of fighting coming from the lobby, who dared to come out at this time? They were afraid that they would be implicated, so they locked their doors tightly. As for those couples who passed by the Western restaurant and wanted to eat here, when they saw the situation in the lobby, they all turned around and left. Li Delay watched as Lin Yi approached him step by step. He was filled with fear. This person was indeed fearless. He had miscalculated. Shield Bro, can I kick this one too? Yushu was addicted to kicking people. She felt that kicking bad guys was an incomparably satisfying thing. Li Delay's face twitched. Let you kick him? Wouldn't I die without descendants then? Bro, let's talk this out. Peace brings wealth. Li Delay was afraid that Lin Yi would push him to Yushu as well. Wouldn't he be dead then? He knew that he wasn't Lin Yi's opponent. None of his men could defeat Lin Yi, and he wasn't stronger than them. Chapter 709. Leave him to die. Ah! Li Delay screamed. He thought he was going to die, but he realized that he didn't feel anything. He was surprised. Huh? It didn't hit me? However, when Li Delay looked down, he realized that his body was full of silver needles. Each of them shone under the lights of the restaurant. It was eerie and scary. These needles were on his body? Li Delay was shocked. He didn't know what technique Lin Yi used, but he wasn't stupid. He knew that it wasn't a normal technique, and he wasn't playing with him. Lin Yi's technique against his subordinates was much sharper than this one. How could it be easier for him to deal with his subordinates? It was obviously impossible, but he didn't know what Lin Yi was trying to do. What did you do to me? What are these needles for? Li Dile asked in fear as he raised his hands. There was a needle in each of his hands. Pull it out and you'll know. Lin Yi said faintly. But you better not pull it out. Hurry up and call your cousin. If Lin Yi didn't say it, Li Dile would have pulled the needles out, but he didn't dare to do it after Lin Yi said it. Lin Yi's words were scary. Who knew what would happen? Lin Yi didn't care if Li Dile removed the needles or not. He turned to Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yin. Let's go to another place. We won't eat here. Li Dile could only smile bitterly. He didn't expect things to end up like this. He could only watch Lin Yi, Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yin leave. However, Yushu didn't seem to want to leave. She turned around and looked at the needles on Li Dile's body curiously. Shield bro, what are those? Can I pull one out and try? Don't pull it out. He'll die if you pull it out. Lin Yi said. Oh, I see. Forget it then. I don't want to kill anyone. Yushu shook her head. Then let him die on his own. Li Dile sweated. Would he really die if he pulled the needles out? He didn't know, but Yushu's words almost angered him to death. The four walked out of the restaurant, and Meng Yao pushed Yushu to the side when she saw that she was still waving her hands around excitedly. Shu, get in the car first. Oh. Yushu nodded and got in the car first. Meng Yao then turned to Tang Yin. I'm sorry, Tang Yin. I wanted to treat you to a meal. I didn't think it would turn out like this. Shu's always like that. Always causing trouble. Don't mind her. You'll get used to it. Tang Yin didn't expect Meng Yao to explain things to her. Was this how Meng Yao's arrogant miss was? Yin didn't think it. Or was it because Meng Yao was easy to get along with? Tang Yin shook her head. It's nothing. No one wants to encounter something like this. It's just that this restaurant went overboard. Meng Yao sighed in relief when she saw that Tang Yin wasn't unhappy. She did come to thank Tang Yin today. No matter if they had conflicts in the past or if they were competitors, Meng Yao really wanted to treat Tang Yin to a meal today. She was afraid that Tang Yin would think that Yushu brought her to this place on purpose and mess things up. It's good that I met Li Dile. I wanted to test him too. Lin Yi waved his hand. Let's get in the car. Meng Yao and Tang Yin didn't understand Lin Yi's words. Why was it good to meet Li Dile? But since Lin Yi didn't say it out loud, they didn't ask. Meng Yao didn't want Tang Yin to look down on her. She wanted to use her identity as an employer to pry into Lin Yi's privacy. Tang Yin had the same idea. She didn't want Meng Yao to think that she was a busybody and didn't give Lin Yi any personal space. After getting in the car, Meng Yao asked Yushu, Shu, let's go to another restaurant. Don't look for another one like this. Where did you hear about this restaurant? I saw it on the internet. They said it's really romantic here. And, it's nothing, I just wanted to take a look. Yushu stopped herself from blurting out the sex toys she'd been talking about. There's nothing to experience. Don't believe these advertisements. Meng Yao didn't have a good impression of this restaurant. She decided not to come here anymore. Oh, I know another one. Yushu wanted to say something but was interrupted by Meng Yao. Okay, let's go to my family's hotel. Meng Yao didn't want any more trouble. She felt safer at her own hotel. Tang Yin's heart skipped a beat when she heard Meng Yao's words. The difference between her and Meng Yao was too big. Her family had a hotel, but she didn't even have a house. This was the only thing that made Tang Yin feel inferior in front of Lin Yi. She wasn't any worse than Meng Yao and Yushu in terms of looks, but Lin Yi's best choice was either Meng Yao or Yushu. Plus, Yushu seemed to want to be a buy one get one free, a small wife. Tang Yin had a headache. Lin Yi didn't know that Tang Yin was thinking so much. He drove to Pengzhan Hotel. Pengzhan had a family dinner here before, and Lin Yi attended it. Pengzhan had planned to have a party like this every week, but because of the falling chandelier, it was postponed. Today was the second time Lin Yi came to Pengzhan Hotel, but it was crowded here. The cars in front of the hotel weren't less than Starlight Hotel. However, the cars here were more business-oriented. Although they were luxurious, there were very few sports cars. It seemed that Pengzhan's hotel focused on business and meetings. while Starlight Hotel focused on entertainment. Most of the rich kids went there. Lin Yi drove the car into the parking lot, and a security guard directed Lin Yi to park the car. Meng Yao and Yushu rarely appeared here. Even when they had a meal with Peng Zhan, they would sit in Faubert's car and drive into the internal parking lot. They would go through the staff passageway, so the security guards didn't know who the miss was. Meng Yao, on the other hand, didn't put on the airs of a Mississippi. She kept a low profile as she entered the hotel lobby with Yushu, Tang Yun and Lin Yi. They got themselves a room and went upstairs. Chapter 710. The common ground from Tang Yun's perspective. Those rich young masters or daughters in those soap operas would always have a CEO with them when they went to their families' hotels and malls, flattering them. This was also why Tang Yun felt that there was a gap between her and the miss, but now it seemed that the miss really was low-key. No one here knew her, and she didn't act like a miss at all. Meng Yao may have grown up in a rich family, but she didn't develop a domineering personality. One reason was because Peng Zhan's upbringing was strict, and the other was because the miss was a lonely person. She didn't make friends easily. Yushu was the only good friend she'd had since she was young, and the others weren't that good. Thus, the miss wasn't led astray by bad friends. They both didn't have a mother's love, and this caused Meng Yao and Xiaoxiao to have extreme personalities. They had one thing in common, and that was that they didn't have too many friends. Meng Yao only had Yushu, and Xiaoxiao didn't have any. But the miss was better than Xiaoxiao in the sense that her mother wasn't dead. There was still hope, and with Shu's company, she wasn't that lonely. Xiaoxiao, on the other hand, had nothing and she had a terminal illness. She could only squander her life to realize the value of her short life. Entering the room, Meng Yao gave the menu and machine to Tang Yun for her to order. But Tang Yun had never been to such a high-class restaurant before. She flipped through 2 pages and was shocked by the price. Why was it so expensive? One dish was enough to cover her family's food expenses for more than a week. Plus, this place had a buffet system. After seeing the dish on the menu, she just had to enter a code into the machine, and it would show if the kitchen could cook the dish or not. But Tang Yun didn't know how to use this thing. I don't know how to order. You do it. Tang Yun was honest. She was poor, and there was no need to pretend in front of Meng Yao. She handed the menu and machine back to Meng Yao. Meng Yao could guess Tang Yun's dilemma. She took the menu and ordered a few dishes without saying anything. She didn't want to eat things like bird's nest and shark's fin since she didn't like it. But considering Tang Yun, she ordered bird's nest porridge and passed the menu to Yushu. Yushu flipped through the menu, only finding shark fins and no shark meat. She was a little disappointed. Yao Yao, I suggest Uncle Chu add shark meat. Meng Yao was speechless. Why would her daddy care so much? He even had to order the dishes for the hotel? After some thought he asked, do you want to eat shark meat? A little, but I don't know if it's as good as Shield Bros. Yushu gulped. Tang Yun felt a little uncomfortable. Did Lin Yi cook for them every day? Then ask the waiter if he can make it. What else do you want to eat? Meng Yao asked. Nope. Yushu shook her head. All right then. Lin Yi, what about you? Meng Yao wasn't as calm as before in front of Lin Yi, but that was only in her heart. On the surface, her attitude towards Lin Yi was like ice, just like when Lin Yi first moved in. But was it really the same? Perhaps only Meng Yao herself could explain it clearly. Or perhaps she didn't understand it herself. This is enough. I'm not picky when it comes to food. Lin Yi was telling the truth. Ever since he was young, he'd always been the one to pick his food. Wherever he went, he'd have to get used to the local food. Deep in the mountains, however, there was no food at all. Lin Yi ate whatever he could get his hands on. He had no choice at all. Meng Yao nodded and called the waiter over. She passed the machine to the waiter and asked, do you have shark meat here? Shark meat? The waiter paused and said, please wait, I'll ask for you. With that, the waiter picked up the walkie-talkie and asked. After getting a confirmation from the kitchen, he said, yes, miss. How would you like to cook it? Can it be barbecued? I want to eat barbecued shark meat. Yushu said. All right, I'll ask for you. The waiter said and asked the kitchen in detail. Yes, but this dish is specially made for you. The price might be a little higher. Is it acceptable? It's around 600 yuan. Sure. Mingyao nodded faintly. The price was nothing to her. She didn't have a concept of money. Although she wouldn't buy a whole house full of luxury goods like those gold diggers, she didn't care about the price either. The waiter ordered the barbecued shark meat through the walkie-talkie before bringing the drinks over. Mingyao ordered fruit juice, since they were both girls, and Linny was driving. There was no need to drink to keep up appearances. Tang Yun, thank you for what you did today. Mingyao raised her glass and said to Tang Yun. She hesitated and mocked herself. But it seems like we still can't be friends. Mingyao was really touched by Tang Yun's action of calling Linny today. But even if she was touched, she wouldn't compromise for her own happiness. Tang Yun wanted to take Lin Yi away from the villa. She couldn't do that. If Lin Yi left, where would she find another person who cared for her so much? Of course, the miss never thought that she would like Lin Yi. Lin Yi was such a playboy. How could she like him? I understand. Tang Yun nodded. She didn't think that the conflict between them could be resolved by the miss treating her to a meal. I called Lin Yi because I didn't want to use this method to defeat my competitor. Huh? Mingyao smiled but didn't explain. Tang Yun didn't understand her dependence on Lin Yi. Oh Yao sis, let's not talk about this topic. It's so boring. Yushu couldn't interrupt the conversation between the miss and Tang Yun. She changed the topic. Haha, then let's not talk about it. Mingyao drank the juice in her glass and signaled to Tang Yun. Tang Yun also picked up her glass and drank the juice. She accepted Mingyao's thanks. Actually, Tang Yun didn't think that Mingyao would thank her so seriously. The relationship between the two was too weird. She wasn't used to eating together like this. Chapter 711. Chapter 0711, Dealing with Bad Guys. Tang Yun. How did you and Shield Bro get together? Yushu really wanted to know the answer. Lin Yi had only been in Songshan for a month, right? Why do you call him Shield Bro? Tang Yun didn't answer and asked back. She didn't understand what Shield Bro meant. Shield Bro, it's because... Yushu didn't finish her sentence and was interrupted by Mingyao. Ahem, Shield Bro means that Shu feels that Lin Yi is like a shield. He can shield us from the wind and rain and deal with troubles. Mingyao didn't want Yushu to say what Shield Bro meant. That would be awkward. What if she told Yushu that she hired Lin Yi to be a shield but didn't use him because he wasn't good enough? Tang Yun would laugh herself to death if that happened. Mingyao regretted letting Lin Yi pretend to be her boyfriend back then. She wouldn't have had a chance with Tang Yun if she'd let him pretend to be her boyfriend. Oh, I see. Tang Yun nodded. She didn't suspect anything. This was what a bodyguard and follower should do. She just didn't know that Lin Yi was hired by Mingyao to pretend to be her boyfriend. It was just that the nature of the job changed after that. Lin Yi sat on the side and didn't say anything. He didn't know what to say. All this time Lin Yi couldn't see through the Mississippi. What kind of attitude did she have towards him? Lin Yi even thought that the miss really liked him when he saw the miss fighting with Tang Yun. But when he got home, it didn't seem to be the case. The miss had hidden herself very well, and no one knew what she was thinking. Perhaps what Yushu saw was only the surface of the miss's personality. Similarly, Yushu should be the same. The miss only saw Yushu on the surface. Lin Yi didn't believe that Yushu was that dumb. The feeling she gave Lin Yi was that Yushu was smarter than anyone. It was just that she liked living like this. She was happy and carefree. But while the two sisters hid their feelings deeply, their feelings for each other were real. And their care for each other was real as well. This was something that Lin Yi admired, especially after Yushu found out that Mingyao had fainted. Not many people were able to do that, even if it meant going through thick and thin together. It's your turn. How did you get together with Shield Bro? Yushu continued. Lin Yi and I. Tang Yun looked at Lin Yi, and seeing that he didn't stop her, she started to speak. Thinking about what happened between her and Lin Yi, it was funny. Lin Yi probably didn't have that kind of feelings for her. It was just that after the incident with Zhou Ruoming, she naturally had a defensive mentality. She also thought that Lin Yi was a rich kid who wanted to hit on her. But a series of things happened. Lin Yi helped her a few times. The relationship between the two seemed to get closer. But if they were to talk about a real breakthrough, it was probably when Lin Yi came to her house for the first time. He met Xiaofan and wanted to jump off the building. Was that when she started to like Lin Yi? Tang Yun shook her head. She didn't remember. She didn't know how she fell in love with Lin Yi and got together with him. Tang Yin seemed to be talking to herself, but it also seemed like she was reminiscing. She told Yushu and Mingyao about what happened between her and Lin Yi. It was only now that Mingyao understood how helpless Tang Yin was when she was harassed by Zhou Ruoming. Because of her identity, she never thought that a guy could be so bad, so immoral, and so shameless when it came to pursuing a girl. Other than Pinliang, Mingyao didn't have any other harassers at school. Everyone knew who she was, and no one dared to do anything to her. Even Pinliang had Yushu teasing him every day. Mingyao didn't have that kind of helplessness or fear in front of Pinliang. But then again, Pinliang dared to kidnap her even though she was the Mississippi. Wouldn't Ruoming be even more reckless if Tang Yin didn't have an identity or background? She thought to herself. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, one could imagine what would happen to Tang Yin. Before, Mingyao thought that the bullying and harassing of girls in school was very far away from her. She even thought that it was just a rumor. However, after hearing Tang Yin's words, she realized that these things were happening around her. It was just that she didn't know about it. Thinking about the relationship between Lin Yi and Tang Yin, it was a beautiful love story. The hero saving the beauty. How cliché. But it was an unchanging story that had been passed down for thousands of years. Wasn't the legend of the white snake the same? After listening to Tang Yin's story, Mingyao didn't hate Tang Yin that much. She even sympathized with her. But sympathy was sympathy. Who would sympathize with her? She finally had the feeling of being cared for and cared for. She wouldn't allow anyone to take that away. Oh, if anyone pursues you in the future, leave it to me. I guarantee that they will return in failure. Look, Yao Yao Sis's pursuers already had their kidneys cut out. Yushu said. I specialize in dealing with evil people. Yushu was joking, but Mingyao understood what she was implying. She believed that Tang Yin understood as well. She didn't need Lin Yi's help. She could stop her love rival from harassing her. That's all. Tang Yin also felt that Yushu wasn't stupid at all. She was terrifyingly smart. Because you couldn't tell which words were true and which were false. It seemed like a joke, but there were a lot of hidden meanings. Oh, that's boring. Yushu was a little disappointed. Pinliang's a cripple now, and Ruoming's a coward now. We don't even know who to play with in school anymore. Shu, your mission is to study hard. Don't play with people, Mingyao said to Yushu. Okay, I won't play then. I'll listen to Yao Yao Sis. Yushu nodded and turned to Lin Yi. Shield bro, you need to study hard too. Otherwise, you won't be able to get into the same university as us. Tang Yin was speechless. Get into the same university? Are you guys not going to let Lin Yi go for the rest of his life? You want him to be your follower for life? Why would he get into the same university? Watch him flirt? Mingyao frowned and said subconsciously. But after saying that, she felt that it wasn't appropriate. Tang Yin was still sitting in front of her. Wasn't she talking about Lin Yi and Tang Yin? Chapter 7:12. I can't be with you forever. Of course. Tang Yin nodded. That was her decision all along. Since she'd taken this step, she'd keep going. If Lin Yi didn't want her, she'd die in front of him. Oh, then can you accept Shield Bro's womanizing? Yushu continued. Or, can you accept him having other wives? Ah. Tang Yin was stunned by Yushu's question. What kind of question was that? What did he mean by she could accept him having other wives? How could he accept it? I'm sure it's not just me. Other girls won't be able to accept it either. No. Tang Yin was about to say that she couldn't accept it, but she swallowed it back down. Was this a trap set up by Yushu? It seemed that there were girls who could accept the fact that Lin Yi had another wife, Mingyao and Yushu. Didn't the two of them claim that they wanted to be Lin Yi's first and second wives? They even wanted to play 3P together. Tang Yin was at a loss. This Yushu wasn't as dumb as she looked. Talking to her was really scary. One misstep, and he would fall into the trap. Every single one of Yushu's questions was so tricky that it wasn't easy to answer. Tang Yin thought that Yushu might use that as an excuse to attack her if she didn't accept it. She might say, "You can't accept it, but we can." Wouldn't that make him seem a little stingy and weak? But to say that she could accept it, Tang Yin really couldn't. Why? Why did he have to accept other wives? Wasn't he just looking for trouble for himself? But seeing that Yushu was looking at her, Tang Yun knew that she had to answer. She'd already made up her mind to be Xiao Xiao's mistress, so what if she accepted a wife? Thus, he gritted his teeth and forced himself to say, "That depends on what kind of wife it is." Tang Yun's answer was ambiguous. The initiative was in her hands. In other words, whether she accepted or not, it was up to her. She also did not give any criteria for judging. However, even so, Tang Yun's answer was out of Lin Yi's expectations. Tang Yun could accept him having another girl? "Oh, what do you think about me being Shield Bro's concubine? Sister Yao Yao is the first wife, and you are the second wife. Or you can be the main wife, you guys decide." "I'll be the second wife," Yushu said. Tang Yun didn't expect Yushu to say something like this. Wasn't this putting her in a difficult position? Should I accept it or not? He was a little reluctant to accept it, but if he said no, wouldn't that be saying that Yushu wasn't good enough? Wouldn't that offend someone? "Little Shu, what nonsense are you talking about?" Mingyao frowned. Yushu was getting more and more out of hand. She quickly stopped her. "Why isn't the food here yet? Let's see if I can shut your mouth later." "Oh, I'll stop, I was just saying," Yushu said with a wave of her hand. "Tang Yun, Shu is always like this. She's always talking nonsense. I want to send her to the mental hospital," Mingyao explained, blushing a little. Yushu had brought her in earlier, and it made Mingyao feel uncomfortable all over. "Oh Yaorao sis, don't send me to the mental hospital," Yushu exclaimed. "There's nothing fun there." Mingyao was speechless. Tang Yun was the same. Yushu didn't want to go to the mental hospital because there's nothing fun there? "It's nothing, I'm getting used to it." Tang Yun touched her forehead and smiled bitterly. Linny didn't interrupt. How was he supposed to interrupt? This topic seemed to be beneficial to him. Soon the food was served. The shark meat Yushu ordered was also placed on the table. It didn't take long for all the dishes to be ready. One had to admit that Pengzhan Hotel was quite efficient. "All right, the dishes are ready. I wanted to say something to thank you, but I'm not really good with words. Linny knows that. I don't really talk much." Mingyao wanted to say something before the meal, but she rarely spoke in a situation like this. She didn't know what to say. But before she could finish, she saw Yushu sneakily picking up a piece of shark meat and putting it into her mouth. Mingyao angrily smashed Yushu's hand with her chopsticks, knocking the shark meat into her bowl. "Shu, what are you doing?" "I'm trying to see if it's good." Yushu looked like she was about to cry. She rubbed her wrist. "Oh, I almost got crippled." "The guest hasn't eaten yet. How can you eat first?" Mingyao scolded. "How would I know? I'm always the one eating first at home," Yushu said weakly. "It's nothing, let her eat first." Tang Yun saw how pitiful Yushu was and stopped Mingyao from getting angry. She didn't have any rules, it didn't matter who ate first. "I'm sorry. This Shu." Mingyao rubbed her temples. "You need to have a good mentality to live with her." Tang Yun shook her head. Yushu was a little weird, but living with her would be fun. There were two sides to everything. However, Tang Yun quickly threw this thought to the back of her head. Live with Yushu? She couldn't really let her be Lin Yi's small wife, right? Yushu continued eating the shark meat, but shook her head after one bite. "It's not as good as Shield Bro's cooking. Lin Yi can't be with you for the rest of your life. You need to learn how to adapt to life." Mingyao glared at Yushu. Yushu didn't say anything and continued eating the shark meat. The atmosphere became heavy. Tang Yun didn't know what to say. She looked at Yushu's pitiful face and didn't know what to say. Could she let Lin Yi be her nanny for the rest of his life? What about herself? Although Mingyao tried her best to maintain the atmosphere of the meal, the more she tried, the stranger the atmosphere became. Tang Yun felt uncomfortable. She felt that Mingyao and Yushu were two strong rivals. After the meal, Mingyao took out her VIP card when they were paying the bill, and the waiter in charge of the room froze. She didn't expect Mingyao to have a diamond card here. The diamond card was a VIP card issued by Pengzhan Industries. There were less than 100 of them. Chapter 713. Pig's Brain. The waiter's attitude was much more respectful than before as he carefully took Mingyao's diamond card and left the room. After a while, the door opened again, but it wasn't the waiter who came in. It was a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man walked quickly to Meng Yao and said respectfully, "Miss, you're here. Why didn't you call me? I could have arranged a VIP room for you." This middle-aged man was the CEO of Pengzhan Hotel. His surname was Liu, and he was 35 or 36 years old. Now that Pengzhan's words were like the sun in the sky, most of the decisions in the board of directors were made by Pengzhan alone. As a result, the people in charge of the other industries were all feeling insecure. Those who were close to the other shareholders were now trying to switch their allegiance to Pengzhan. It couldn't be helped. Pengzhan wasn't only the biggest shareholder of the group, but he also had the second biggest shareholder, Lin Yi, as his proxy. This meant that he had the two most important votes in the group, and no one dared to oppose him. Manager Liu didn't know that the second biggest shareholder of the company was sitting right in front of him. If he knew, he'd be scared to death. "I don't want to trouble you." Meng Yao frowned. She didn't think that Manager Liu would come in person. She wouldn't have taken out the VIP card if she knew. Meng Yao didn't go to the VIP room because she really didn't want to. She really didn't like the feeling of being recognized as the Miss and being surrounded by people like stars around the moon. Meng Yao really didn't like that feeling. So Meng Yao chose to keep a low profile and ask for a private room. But now that Manager Liu was here, Meng Yao was afraid that Tang Yun would misunderstand and think that she was looking down on her by not bringing her to the VIP room. The Miss hesitated and thought of a solution. "Manager Liu, you still have a VIP card, right? Get one for my friend, and I'll talk to Faubert." The people in charge of the industries had the right to introduce and apply for VIP cards, but the highest level diamond card had to be approved by the headquarters before it could be applied. So if it wasn't a very important client, Manager Liu wouldn't apply for a diamond card. Meng Yao said that she wanted to talk to Faubert, so naturally, she wanted to apply for a diamond card. Manager Liu quickly nodded. How could the group not approve something that Missy had asked for? Moreover, eldest Miss was going to tell Faubert. Tang Yun, on the other hand, didn't think too much about it. If Meng Yao acted like a miss the moment she arrived, it would look like she was showing off in front of Tang Yun. On the other hand, Tang Yun felt that the miss was still keeping a low profile. Tang Yun only realized that the VIP card Meng Yao wanted was for her when they went downstairs. She shook her head quickly. "I can't afford it even if it's for me. The prices here are too high." Tang Yun told the truth. There was nothing to be embarrassed about. The miss knew about her family's situation. "You can also go to Pengzhan Mall. There's a discount there too," Meng Yao explained. I usually go to the night market to buy it." Tang Yun still rejected. This thing was useless to her, and the card was precious. She didn't want to owe Meng Yao a favor. "Then let's give it to Lin Yi." Since Meng Yao had already said it, it wouldn't be nice to refuse. It would be the same if it was given to Lin Yi. Manager Liu felt that the name Lin Yi was familiar. Where had he heard it before? However, it wasn't nice to ask in front of the Mississippi. He quickly applied for a diamond card for Lin Yi. After the miss left, Manager Liu picked up the phone and reported to Faubert. The moment he mentioned Lin Yi, Faubert's answer shocked Manager Liu. Lin Yi was the second biggest shareholder of the company that had shown his face once. He was said to be Pengzhan's son-in-law. Why would someone like him need a membership card? However, thinking about how the miss was low profile, and how Lin Yi was also a low-profile person, Manager Liu felt extremely honored. He was able to apply for a card for the second biggest shareholder of the group, especially when the person who introduced him was him. Li Delay watched as Lin Yi, Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yun walked out of the Western restaurant. He regretted his lust. He was scared when he saw his underlings lying on the ground. However, he didn't forget Lin Yi's words. He quickly picked up the phone and called his cousin. There were so many needles in his hands and body. He didn't know what was so special about them. However, he didn't dare to pull them out casually. After all, Lin Yi told him that he would die if he pulled them out. Although he didn't believe it, he had to believe it when he thought about Lin Yi's skills. The reason was simple. Li Delay was the leader of these people. Lin Yi even beat his underlings to the ground. How could he let him go? "Hello? Lazy. What's up?" Sihua was troubled. The poisoning plan failed, and he didn't know how to deal with Lin Yi. He received a call from his cousin, but he didn't know what he was going to do. "Cousin, you have to help me. The place was destroyed and I'm stuck with needles all over my body. I don't dare to pull them out. Li Delay said with a sad face. His only hope was for Zihua to avenge him. Your restaurant was destroyed? You're covered in needles? What do you mean? What happened? Tell me in detail. Zihua's heart skipped a beat. The more troubled he was, the more trouble he'd get himself into. His brother was usually fine, and everyone in the underworld knew that he was his cousin. They'd give him some face, so why was there a problem today? It's like this. Li Delay didn't dare to hide it, and told Zihua everything. He couldn't hide it even if he wanted to. There were people in the Western restaurant, and the scarred man was Zihua's direct subordinate. He was just sent to watch over the place. Fuck. You're a pig brain. Do you have nothing better to do? There are women everywhere. Aren't you afraid of ruining your business by flirting with customers? Don't you know that your restaurant still has to pay to the owner every month? Zihua was furious. His brother was too arrogant. However, he couldn't just ignore his brother. They pierced needles in your hands and body? Don't you know how to go to the hospital? What's the point of calling me? Li Delay froze. Yeah, why was he so obedient? What he should do now was to go to the hospital, not call his cousin. His cousin wasn't a doctor, and he couldn't treat the needles in his body. Chapter 7:14. Nothing? Li Delay hung up the phone, and found a lackey who wasn't lying on the ground to accompany him to the First People's Hospital. Li Delay felt embarrassed under everyone's surprised gazes. Everyone in the hospital looked at him, as if he was a monster. After all, he was covered in silver needles like a porcupine. Those who didn't know the truth would think that something was wrong with him. Li Delay didn't dare to stay any longer, and went straight to the surgery consultation room. He was a gangster and his underlings often got injured from conflicts with others, so he was familiar with the surgeons here. Wang bro, help. Quick, help me check the silver needles on my body. Li Delay saw a familiar face. It was Dr. Wang from the surgery department. Dr. Wang didn't have anything to do at the moment, and was stunned when he saw Delay. He asked curiously, Boss Li, what happened to you? Did you get acupuncture? Acupuncture my ass. I was stabbed by someone. Li Delay was speechless. He gritted his teeth when he thought of Lin Yi. That person told me that he wouldn't let me pull it out. He said that he would die if I pulled it out. That's why I rushed to the hospital. Dr. Wang, you're knowledgeable. Can you take a look at me? He would die if he pulled it out? It was the first time Dr. Wang heard of this. How many needles were stuck in his body? He was fine when they were inserted, but he would die if he pulled it out. Was he trying to scare him? Dr. Wang didn't believe it, but he didn't dare to ignore Li Delay's explanation. I've never seen it before. How about I get the chief of our department to take a look at you? That's fine. Thank you, Wang bro. Li Delay felt embarrassed and didn't want too many people to know about it. However, he couldn't care too much since it was a matter of life and death. After a while, Dr. Wang brought an old man over and let Li Delay take a look. The old man didn't see anything special about the needles. If the needles were poisoned, Li Delay would have died a long time ago. It didn't matter whether he pulled it out or not. If it wasn't poisoned, he wouldn't die even if he pulled it out. The needles were only inserted in a shallow area and didn't hurt his organs. How could he die after pulling it out? However, the old man wasn't stupid. He didn't say anything since he knew about Li Delay's condition. I personally think it's fine. I can pull it out for you, but if anything happens, the hospital won't be responsible. Li Delay suddenly felt guilty. He thought that it wouldn't be a problem to pull out a few small needles in the hospital, but the old specialist in the hospital said that he wasn't confident, so how could he pull them out? Li had no choice. He could only call Delay's phone again. Li Delay called Zihua again. But the hospital said that they won't be responsible if anything happens after the needle is removed. Li Delay panicked. Brother, can you help me think of a solution? What should I do? Zihua didn't expect his cousin to be so useless, but the severity of the situation made it seem like he couldn't just ignore it. Wait, I'll go take a look now. Zihua asked which hospital and ward Li Delay was in and rushed over. Li looked at Li. Li Delay was Li, and Li, isn't he a porcupine? Why are there thorns all over his body? Even the hospital can't pull it out? Li Zihua looked at the needles on Li Dilei's body and didn't think there was anything wrong. Yeah, Wang Bro and the specialist said that they can't pull it out. They won't be responsible if anything happens. Li Dilei nodded. Wait here, I'll go ask. Li Zihua walked into the surgery room and saw Dr. Wang. Dr. Wang naturally knew Li Zihua. He was one of the most powerful people in the city. He didn't dare to neglect him and quickly walked over. Zihua bro. Dr. Wang, how's my cousin's condition? Zihua nodded. He didn't bother with small talk and went straight to the point. Actually, according to my judgment, he's fine. Dr. Wang told the truth. The needles aren't deep, so it's impossible to hurt his organs. It's nonsense to say that he'll die if he pulls it out. If you say that the needles are poisonous, it doesn't matter if you pull it out or not. You'll be poisoned even if you don't pull it out. Besides, there are needles on Boss Li's hands, so there aren't any fatal spots. Oh, what do you mean? Li Zihua felt that Dr. Wang was right. What fatal spots could there be on the hands? The problem is that your brother's words are scary. He said that he'll die if the needles are pulled out. No one can bear this responsibility. It's better to be safe than sorry, isn't it? Dr. Wang smiled bitterly. Li Zihua nodded. He understood Dr. Wang's difficulty. Li Dilei was his cousin, and if something happened, he was afraid that Li Dilei would cause trouble for him. How about we pull out the needles on his hands first? I think there won't be any problems. Even if there's a problem, I'll take responsibility. What do you think? Li Zihua pondered and asked. He couldn't let his brother live like a porcupine, right? He had to solve it eventually. After this, Li Zihua still had to return to Master Bing's place to discuss countermeasures. They had to deal with Lin Yi. It wasn't as simple as breaking Master Bing's legs and killing Zhang Long and Li Yao. They had to destroy a skyscraper. Lin Yi casually used a few forklifts and bombs, and 100 million was gone. Master Bing only demolished his girlfriend's bungalow, but Li Yao demolished a skyscraper. How cruel. He can pull out the needles himself. Zihua bro, why don't you help him? Dr. Wang naturally didn't want to do it. Who would do such a risky thing? Alright, then help me look after him. If there's a problem, we can deal with it in time. Li Zihua nodded and agreed. Li Dilei saw his cousin coming out with Dr. Wang and quickly asked, Bro, how is it? I'll help you pull out the needles first. There aren't any fatal spots on your hands, so it should be fine. Many people live with broken arms and legs, don't they? Li Zihua said. Li Dilei thought about it and agreed. He nodded and said to Zihua, Alright, pull out the needles on my hands first. Pulling out a needle wasn't a big deal. Zihua easily pulled out the needles on Li Dilei's left hand. Li Dilei's hand didn't even bleed. Chapter 7:15. It can't be cured. Only an idiot like you would believe it. Zihua sneered. Haven't you seen Tang Bohu touch autumn fragrance? Isn't that what Hanxiao half-step bumpy is like? Li Dilei blushed. He was too careful. How could he be tricked like this? How embarrassing. How could he live in the underworld if this got out? I'm sorry, bro, I made you suffer. Li Dilei said embarrassedly and turned to Dr. Wang. Dr. Wang, please keep this a secret. Don't worry, it's normal for a doctor to keep a secret for his patient, not to mention Boss Li. Dr. Wang was happy to pretend that he didn't know since it had nothing to do with him. Alright, don't embarrass yourself here. Hurry up and pull out the rest of the needles. Zihua glared at Li Dilei. Yes. Li Dilei nodded and wanted to use his left hand to pull out the needles on other parts of his body. However, he realized that his left hand couldn't move when he lifted his arm. He wanted to pinch the needles, but he couldn't feel his fingers at all. Even his entire hand couldn't feel anything. What are you doing? Zihua didn't know what happened to Li Dilei when he didn't move. Bro, my hand. I can't move my hand. Li Dilei stared at his left hand in fear. He couldn't feel his left hand at all. He could move his arm, but he couldn't control anything above his wrist. Can't move? What do you mean? Zihua was stunned. Bro, I can't move my left hand. It doesn't feel like it's mine. I can't feel it at all. Li Dilei said and shook his left arm, but he still couldn't feel anything. How is this possible? Zihua frowned and looked at Li Dilei's left hand carefully. He didn't find anything wrong, so he turned to Dr. Wang. Dr. Wang, what do you think is going on? Dr. Wang was surprised. Li Dilei's left hand was fine before the needles were pulled out. How come he couldn't feel anything after the needles were pulled out? Is it numb? Let's wait and see. Dr. Wang had never seen anything like this before. No, it's definitely not numb. I don't feel anything at all. It's as if this hand isn't mine anymore. Li Dilei shook his head continuously. What's wrong? Li Dilei shook his head. Does it have anything to do with the silver needle? Sihua looked at Li Dilei's hand suspiciously. This it's hard to say. Dr. Wang didn't know whether it was related or not. In short, he had never seen a similar situation. So now, Sihua could only hope that Dr. Wang had a solution. Now we can only take an X-ray first. If there are no problems, do a comprehensive examination and wait for the conclusion to come out, Dr. Wang suggested. All right. Sihua nodded and asked Dr. Wang to bring Li Dilei for a checkup. As for the other needles on Li Dilei's body, he didn't dare to pull them out. He could only leave them there. Although it was a little unsightly and eye-catching, who could guarantee that the situation of losing feeling in the left hand would not happen again after these silver needles were removed? Whether or not there was a connection between the two was still hard to say. Soon, Li Dilei's results came out. However, the results made both Li Dilei and Sihua pale. Hand nerve necrosis? The Li brothers widened their eyes when they saw the results. This is only the nerve, but according to the system's examination, the muscle tissue of the hand is also showing signs of necrosis. Dr. Wang also felt that it was inexplicable. The nerves and muscles were all necrotic after being pricked by a silver needle? Wasn't this a little too inconceivable? The strangest thing was that there was no poison on the needle at all. It was just a normal needle. Then what should we do now? Can it be cured? Sihua asked. We can try, but it's best to amputate the left hand immediately to prevent the necrosis from affecting the arm. Dr. Wang said. Sihua frowned. There was no need to describe how shocked he was. Who did Li Dilei offend? Why was he being harmed like this? He couldn't help but yell at Li Dilei. What's his background? Who exactly did you provoke? I don't know. He's just here to eat. Li Dilei was also terrified. He was dumbfounded when he heard Dr. Wang saying that he might have to amputate his hand. Wasn't this too scary? Here to eat? Think carefully. Is there any information? What's his name? What does he look like? Sihua asked. I remember. There's a girl called Tang Yin among them. Li Dilei was sensitive to beautiful girls' names, so he remembered Tang Yin's name. Tang Yin. Sihua's expression froze. It couldn't be such a coincidence, right? Tang Yin? Wasn't that Lin Yi's girlfriend? Yes, that's her name. I can't remember the guy who attacked me, but his surname is Lin. Li Dilei didn't notice his cousin's expression as he tried to recall with his eyes closed. Lin. Is his name Lin Yi? Sihua took a deep breath and tried to control his emotions. Yes, his name is Lin Yi. Brother, do you know this person? Can you ask him to save me? Li Dilei was overjoyed when he heard that his cousin knew this person. I do. A complicated expression flashed across Sihua's eyes. But he won't come to save you. He won't come? Li Dilei was in despair. Why? Brother, please beg him. I can give him as much money as he wants. I can even hold a banquet to apologize to him. I don't want to lose my hands. I have a deep grudge against him. No wonder he wasn't afraid after hearing my name. Sihua sighed. You shouldn't have used my name. You're just looking for trouble for yourself. Sihua sighed. You shouldn't have used my name. Ah, a deep grudge? Li Dilei was dumbfounded. How would he know that Lin Yi and Sihua had a grudge against each other? Whenever he used his cousin's name, people would respect him. Li Dilei didn't expect to meet Sihua's enemy. Chapter 7:16. Seeking help from Yawang, Sihua immediately called Master Bing. After hearing Li Dilei's condition, Master Bing didn't care, and agreed to let Yawang take a look at him. After all, half of Li Dilei's restaurant's income was given to House Zhao. As House Zhao's illegitimate son, Master Bing naturally couldn't ignore the people who worked for House Zhao. Besides, Sihua also wanted to introduce his cousin to Master Bing. Working for Master Bing would give him a bright future. Li Delay sighed in relief after knowing that Master Bing was willing to help. He heard that Master Bing had many masters around him, so he wasn't afraid that his problem couldn't be solved. In a private room at the back of the floating cloud, Yawang frowned as he looked at Li Delay's body. Yawang, how is it? My cousin's problem. Sihua knew that the problem was serious when Yawang didn't speak. Yawang came from an ancient medical family. Not only was he an expert in poisons, but he was also an expert in medicine, especially the art of harming people. That was why Yawang didn't think much when he heard that Li Delay was stabbed with a few silver needles and lost feeling in his left hand after they were pulled out. He thought that it was some kind of poison or acupoint sealing technique. Speaking of harming people, his family was the ancestor of harming people. Was there a problem that couldn't be solved? It was just a small trick. However, when Yawang saw Li Delay, he realized that his thinking was too simple. There was no poison on Li Delay's silver needles. Yawang had tested it on a white mouse with the silver needle he pulled out. It didn't seem like it was done through acupoint sealing either. Li Delay's hand wasn't immobile, like it was after his acupoint was sealed. Instead, it was slowly necrotizing. His entire hand had turned a dark purple color, as if the tissue of his hand was destroyed. It's not looking good. The opponent is a master. Who did it? Do you know who he is? Yawang didn't dare to be careless. It was the first time he saw such a method of harming people. It was far beyond the methods in his sect. It was unbelievable. Lin Yi. Sihua gritted his teeth when he said the name. What? Lin Yi? Yawang was no stranger to this name. Uncle Zhu was beaten half to death by Lin Yi and was still lying in bed. Zhao Qibing's legs were also broken by Lin Yi and he could only rest in a wheelchair. Lin Yi again? Zhao Qibing heard the name and panicked. Isn't he injured? How can it harm others? It's hard to say. Yawang shook his head. From the way he uses the silver needles, it's hard to say if Lin Yi is a medical expert. So you're saying that Lin Yi recovered his strength by himself? Qibing's eyes widened and Uncle Zhu, who was lying on the bed, almost spat out blood. Uncle Zhu felt wronged. He almost died and went to see the king of hell, but Lin Yi was perfectly fine. He was still alive and kicking. How could he harm people? Was there any justice? I'm not sure if he recovered his strength, but even if he's not at his peak, it shouldn't affect his movements. Yawang's expression was serious as he carefully checked the silver needles on Li Delay's body. Of course, Li Delay was the most pitiful. Even Yawang couldn't do anything? Didn't that mean he could only wait for death? His left hand had turned black and purple. It was clearly necrotic. He would definitely lose his hand. But Li Delay wasn't in the mood to think about whether he lost his hand or not. It was already good enough that he could stay alive. Master Bing Yawang. Save me. Li Delay's face was covered in tears and mucus. He was scared out of his wits. Yawang suddenly paused and his expression became more serious. There's pure energy under the silver needles? Li Delay was just a normal person. He didn't practice any internal or external martial arts, so it was impossible for him to have pure energy in his body. Even if there was a trace of pure energy, he wouldn't be able to detect it. However, Yawang felt an obvious fluctuation of pure energy under the needle. What was going on? What do you mean? Yawang, my cousin can be saved? Sihua froze and asked quickly. Li Delay looked at Yawang helplessly. He didn't want to die. I'm not sure yet, but I need to do some research. Yawang said. I need to pull out another needle, but it might cause the same result as this left hand. I might also find a way to cure it. Ah. Li Delay was dumbfounded. Pull out another needle? Where should he pull it out? He looked at the silver needles all over his body and didn't know where to pull it out. Think about it yourself. This is the only way, Yawang said. How about pulling out the silver needles on my left arm? My left hand is useless anyway. It won't affect me too much if I do it again. Sihua thought about it and asked. Okay. Li Delay gritted his teeth. He had no other choice. He couldn't not sleep at night, right? If he accidentally dropped the silver needles while he was sleeping, he would be waiting for death. Yawang nodded and signaled Li Delay to extend his left arm. Then he quickly pulled out the silver needles on Li Delay's left arm. After the silver needles were removed, Yao Wang moved again at lightning speed and grabbed the spot where the silver needles were. Ah, I can't move my left arm either. Although Li Delay predicted this outcome, he still had some expectations. Now that he couldn't feel his left arm, he wanted to cry but no tears came out. Yao Wang, how is it? Sihua saw Yao Wang open his eyes and quickly asked. My left arm is useless. Yao Wang took a deep breath and said. But I think I know what they did. Oh, what did they do? Sihua asked. Lin Yi attached his pure energy to the tip of the silver needles and injected it into Li Delay's body. Then he used the needles to seal the pure energy so that it wouldn't spread in Li Delay's body. Yao Wang said. As long as the silver needles are pulled out, the pure energy will spread rapidly. Li Delay is a normal person, and his body can't handle such a strong pure energy invading his body. This caused the pure energy to rupture his meridians and muscle tissues, causing his nerves and tissues to die. He felt it with his hand before. Although there was pure energy on the silver needles, it was only at one point. After the silver needles were pulled out, the pure energy at that point spread rapidly. Chapter 7:17. Even a god can't save him. Lin Yi is a medical master. He's not weaker than me. Although I can see through this method, I don't have a solution, at least not yet. Yao Wang smiled bitterly. Even his master wouldn't be able to do this, let alone him. This method was too cunning. He would die as soon as the needles were pulled out. Uncle Zhu was shocked as well. He knew that he didn't lose unjustly. His opponent was a medical master who wasn't any weaker than Yao Wang. Wasn't he still alive and kicking? What should we do now? Sihua asked. There's nothing I can do for now. Yao Wang shook his head. Unless someone can dissolve the pure energy in Li Delay's body the moment I remove the needles, it will cause severe damage to his body and meridians. Sihua's face turned ugly. Even Yao Wang couldn't do anything. So how could Li Delay be saved? The needles couldn't be pulled out for a day or two, but they couldn't be pulled out forever, right? Judging from the position of the needles, Li Delay's body would probably be necrotic after they were pulled out. Whoever started the trouble should untie it. We belong to different sects, so our methods are different. I don't understand their methods, so there's nothing I can do. Yao Wang blamed it all on the fact that he wasn't from the same sect as Lin Yi. It wasn't because he was useless, but because different sects had different methods. Yao Wang, you want me to look for Lin Yi? Sihua's expression was strange. What was the use of looking for Lin Yi now? Their hatred was like fire and water, so there was no way to resolve it. Or, I can ask someone from my sect and see if they have a solution, Yao Wang said. Thank you, Yao Wang. Sihua quickly thanked him. Sihua thanked Lin Yi profusely. He wouldn't have begged Lin Yi if there was even a sliver of hope, since asking for Lin Yi's help would just be asking for humiliation. All I can do is ask. After all, different sects have different research directions. The Medicine King was trying to absolve his sect of responsibility. I understand. Sihua nodded. Yao Wang then called his sect, but they couldn't come up with a solution. Firstly, they didn't see Li Delay in person, and secondly, it was the first time they heard of such a method. How was it? Sihua quickly asked after Yao Wang ended the call. Li Delay looked hopeful as well. There's a way, but there's no way to do it. Yao Wang would not directly say that there was no way. That would make his sect seem too useless. You can't control it, no matter how difficult it is, as long as you can save Li Delay's life, Sihua quickly said. What do you need? Just tell me, Yao Wang. I need a master above the earth class to quickly dissolve the pure energy in Li Delay's body when I remove the needles. The Medicine King said. However, this would consume a lot of that person's innate qi. Normally, no one would risk their strength to do this. What the Yao Wang said was a more common method, but no one would take the risk. After all, who didn't train hard to get their strength? Why should he waste his true qi for an outsider? Wouldn't he be an idiot? Yao Wang's words were like a bucket of cold water. Sihua instantly lost his temper. Where could he find an earth-class master? The mystic class was already a phoenix's feather, let alone an earth class? Even if he found one, he wasn't related to Li Delay. Why would he risk his own level to save Li Delay? Sihua really didn't want to look for Lin Yi, but he couldn't just watch his cousin die, right? Bro, why don't you look for Lin Yi? We have to try. If he doesn't care, then I'll just die and blame my bad luck. Li Delay didn't have any thoughts of revenge at all. There was no other reason. Even Master Bing was crippled by Lin Yi. Who was he? With his strength, going to Lin Yi for revenge was **t. If Lin Yi was so easy to take revenge on, would Master Bing still be sitting in a wheelchair? Sihua thought about it and couldn't help but look at Master Bing. After all, Master Bing and Lin Yi had a huge grudge. If he begged Lin Yi now, wouldn't he be showing his weakness? Delay did a lot for House Zhao. I can't just watch him die, can I? Master Bing waved his hand. Just pretend that I don't know. It's also a good chance to test Lin Yi. One had to admit that Master Bing was good at buying people's hearts. This was also the reason why House Zhong's father and son worked so hard for him. He didn't need to spend a single cent to do Sihua and Li Delay a favor. Sihua and Li Delay were grateful. Sihua said, "Thank you, Master Bing. We're very lucky to be able to work for you. All right, hurry up and look for Lin Yi. Earning more money for House Zhao and me is more important than anything else." Master Bing waved his hand. Master Bing waved his hand. His hatred for Lin Yi deepened as he pondered on how to get rid of Lin Yi once and for all. It would be best if he could kill him in one move so that he couldn't fight back. Otherwise, with a dangerous person like Lin Yi and Songshan, he had to be cautious in everything he did. He didn't know how he met Lin Yi. How could he live if Lin Yi messed with him again? Sihua dialed Lin Yi's number right away, not daring to delay. Lin Yi's number wasn't anything secretive, and it was easy to get it. Sihua had gotten it from Zhang Wen long ago. Lin Yi, Mingyao, Yushu, and Tang Yun just got in the car when his phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Hello." Lin Yi picked up. "Is this Lin Yi? I'm Sihua." Sihua was furious on the inside, but he looked calm on the outside. "Oh, Sihua bro, what's up?" Lin Yi heard Sihua's calm tone and asked faintly as if he didn't know why Sihua called. However, this Sihua bro sounded a little ironic in Sihua's ears. Did Lin Yi need to call him bro? It seemed like he didn't need it at all. This was the second time Sihua had a direct conversation with Lin Yi. The first time was in the Floating Cloud Bar, where he'd used threats and promises, but Lin Yi didn't even give a damn about him. Lin Yi had even killed the 2 golden class masters beside him. And Sihua had lost a lot of money. Forget it, let's not beat around the bush. You're the one who caused my cousin Li Delay's injury, right? Sihua decided not to pretend anymore. The conflict between him and Lin Yi was irreconcilable. Chapter 7:18. Make him wish he was dead. Sihua was quite pissed off. It really was this idiot who pulled out the needles. But he knew that he couldn't get angry right now. "Lin Yi, I hope you can let my cousin go. I don't want to drag other people into our feud." "Are you an idiot?" Sihua's words made Lin Yi a little impatient. "He'd be dead already if I were to count what happened between us. How could he still be standing? Besides, I only did it because he pissed me off." Sihua was speechless at Lin Yi's words. He had to admit that Lin Yi's words were quite infuriating. "Then, can you let him go?" Sihua said awkwardly after a couple of coughs. "He's not dead yet. Why would I let him go? You don't have to call me if he's dying," Lin Yi said. "Besides, don't you have a master with you? He can make deadly 7 herbs poison. You think he can't solve a small problem like this? All right, I'm busy, and the pretty girl needs me to drive. Bye." Lin Yi didn't wait for Sihua's reply before hanging up. Sihua looked at the disconnected phone, troubled. "You're very busy, huh?" Did he think he was a cowboy? But he didn't dare say that out loud. He had to keep calling Lin Yi. "Oh, Shield bro, is that landmine dead?" Yushu asked after Lin Yi finished the call. "I don't think so, but he's dying soon?" Lin Yi didn't know how many needles Sihua had pulled out. "Man, it's no fun if he's dead," Yushu said with a shake of her head. "Shield bro, can you make him wish he was dead?" "I guess," Lin Yi said. "But I can't see him now, and I can't be bothered to save him." "Oh, I guess that Sihua will call again. Maybe you can make his little brother wish he was dead?" Yushu suggested. Yushu hadn't even finished her sentence when Lin Yi's phone rang again. "Hey, didn't I tell you I have something to do? You don't understand me, do you?" Lin Yi wasn't polite at all. "Lin Yi, I'm at my wit's end. That's why I'm calling you. I'm sure you understand. Afraid that Lin Yi would hang up again, Sihua said in one breath. Save my brother's life. Tell me whatever you want. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was taken aback. It seemed that the master beside Zhao Qibing wasn't that great after all. At the very least, he wasn't as strong as him. Uncle Tang's leg is broken. You can pay for the medical fees. Lin Yi was prepared to listen to Yushu's opinion and make Li Delay suffer. However, a fate worse than death was still better than death, right? As a result, Lin Yi didn't plan on doing it for free. He wanted Sihua to pay a price for it. No problem, I'll take out 3. Sihua wanted to take out 300,000, but was interrupted by Lin Yi. 3 million. I'll tell you an account. If you don't see the money before dark, you don't have to give it to me. Use this money to buy a better coffin and grave for your cousin. Lin Yi thought that Tang Yin's family would need at least 1 or 2 million to buy a house, so 3 million wasn't too much. He just needed to go out for a stroll and meet an unlucky bastard who gave him the money for the house. Alright, Sihua was a man who did big things. Although his heart ached when he heard that Lin Yi wanted 3 million, it wasn't much to save his brother's life. Lin Yi didn't have much cash on hand right now. The 100 million he got from Lu Tianyi and the money from the auction were all invested into the medical company. If he wanted to expand, he would need a lot of money. So, although Lin Yi had a big family business, he didn't have much money on hand. Lin Yi texted Sihua the bank account Mrs. Tang gave him and waited for the money to come in. Tang Yin wanted to say something, but Mingyao and Yushu were there. She didn't say anything and let Lin Yi do it. Fortunately, Tang Yin comforted herself that it was for her father's medical fees. She didn't feel bad taking it. If she took so much from Lin Yi, she would owe him more and more. Oh, shield bro, didn't you want to make him suffer? Why did you save him? Yushu asked. Doesn't that mean he's still alive? Lin Yi smiled. Ha ha ha. Yushu started laughing happily. Shield bro, you're so bad. You're almost the same as me. I'm not as bad as you. Lin Yi shrugged. Yushu was better than him when it came to messing with people. Tang Yin and Mingyao couldn't help but laugh. The miss didn't know much about money, but she was surprised that Lin Yi was able to get 3 million right off the bat. So Lin Yi was this good? How could he get so much money so easily? Judging from his expression, he didn't seem to care about money at all. Mingyao started to get nervous. Did she always threaten him with Lin Yi's salary? Wasn't it a joke to him? But Mingyao was getting more and more confused. Why would Lin Yi come to work for her? With Lin Yi's skills and methods, there was no need for him to work for her for 30,000. Where did her dad find such a master? Yao Shu, where are you guys going now? Lin Yi turned around and asked. Tang Yin and I are going to the night market to buy something? We're going too, right, Yao sis? Yushu winked at Mingyao. Mingyao wanted to go. I want to eat fried mushrooms. Yao sis, can you come with me? Yushu held Mingyao's hand. Okay, let's go together. Mingyao nodded. Tang Yin pouted unhappily. Why did they have to tag along when she was going on a date with Lin Yi? But Tang Yin couldn't say anything. The miss just treated them. How could she chase them away? That wasn't right. Lin Yi didn't say much. If the miss wanted to go, then go. Lin Yi started the car and drove towards the night market. On the way, Tang Yin received a call. It was from Mrs. Tang. Mom? What's up? Tang Yin didn't know why her mother would call her at this time. Didn't she know that she was going out with Lin Yi? Usually, her mother wouldn't bother her when she was on a date with Lin Yi. Chapter 719. Saving her life, however, even though she didn't know much about mobile banking, she had often read about tax fraud in newspapers. So when Mrs. Tang received 3 million yuan out of nowhere, she was shocked. She didn't know what to do. It's here. Tang Yin paused. It's not a scam, it's Lin Yi's medical fees from Qibing Real Estate. Ah, Lin Yi's medical fees? That means it's real? Mrs. Tang was overjoyed. I'll go check the bank right now. I've never seen so much money in my life. Mrs. Tang was overjoyed. She had been worried about buying a house tomorrow, but now that she had 3 million, it was enough to buy any kind of house. Lin Yi was amazing. He broke Qibing's leg and didn't ask for medical fees. Instead, he asked for 3 million. Old Tang's leg was worth it. And Tang Yin didn't say anything else and hung up. Tang Yin wasn't afraid of Meng Yao knowing that her family was poor, but she was afraid that they would laugh at her if they knew how greedy her mother was. Not long after Tang Yin received the call, Lin Yi received a call from Sihua. Lin Yi, I've transferred the money to the account you gave me. When can I save my brother? Sihua said straightforwardly. His relationship with Lin Yi was purely based on benefits. There was no need for pleasantries. Oh, I'll tell you how to save him. You can do it yourself. Lin Yi said casually. Just find a surgeon and cut off the flesh in a 2-centimeter radius around the needle. You'll be done with it. What? Cut off the flesh? Sihua's eyes widened when he heard Lin Yi's words. Are you messing with me? I'm not messing with you because of 3 million. Lin Yi said faintly. Tell my words to the doctor beside you. He'll know if I'm right or not. I don't have time to waste with you. This is the only way to save your brother's life. All right, I'll believe you for now. Sihua took a deep breath, suppressing his anger. Lin Yi didn't pay him any attention, hanging up the phone right away. It had been a long time since he'd been ignored like this. Even House Zhao wouldn't look down on him like this. But Sihua couldn't hold it against Lin Yi. It wasn't the first or second day he'd wanted to kill Lin Yi, and as long as he didn't kill him, he'd have to endure it. Sihua didn't dare delay and repeated Lin Yi's words to Yao Wang, only for Yao Wang to slap his forehead and exclaim, Why didn't I think of that? Since this true qi was not easy to get rid of, wouldn't it be better to just dig it up and throw it away? It's actually so simple. Sihua paused at Yao Wang's reaction. Does that mean that Lin Yi's idea will work? Yes, it's the only way to save Li Delay. Li Delay will have to suffer a little, but it's not a problem to keep his life, Yao Wang said. Is it possible that Lin Yi purposely used this cruel method because he had other methods? Sihua was suspicious. From his point of view, Lin Yi wouldn't say anything good. He would only say something bad. I don't think so. After all, it'll take a lot of effort to take back the true qi. Even if Lin Yi could do it, he wouldn't lower his strength for 3 million. Yao Wang shook his head. I'm afraid that Lin Yi hasn't fully recovered yet. He's only slightly stronger than Mr. Zhu. He won't risk his life to treat Li Delay. Even 300 million is impossible, let alone 3 million. Sihua felt much better after listening to Yao Wang's explanation. Since there was a solution, let's do it as soon as possible. Yushu laughed out loud after listening to Lin Yi and Sihua's solution. She felt that she and Shield Bro were fated to be together. They were both evil and didn't even blink when messing with people. Li Delay would probably be riddled with holes now. Meng Yao and Tang Yin also felt that it was satisfying. As long as he didn't kill anyone, it was fine to punish Li Delay. Lin Yi parked the car in front of the night market. When he stopped, he saw a few modified sports cars like Hyundai and Geely Jaguar. Lin Yi paused. It should be the people he met last time. Xiao Xiao was there, but now a familiar figure was missing. He didn't know what Xiao Xiao was doing in Yanjing. Why wasn't she back yet? When Xiao Xiao was here, Lin Yi was a bit annoyed by her, but now that she was gone, he would miss her without a deskmate. He even promised her that he would treat her to a meal. Those people didn't pay much attention to Lin Yi's Beetle. It wasn't a sports car, and they weren't interested in racing with Lin Yi. Evidently, they had forgotten about Lin Yi. Lin Yi and Tang Yin walked at the back while the Miss and Yushu walked in front. The four of them entered the night market. Meng Yao and Yushu had never bought anything from the street stalls of the night market before. They'd always go straight for the street food when they came here before, and they'd never stopped here before. It was quite a sight to behold, and it was quite a bustling place. The clothes here are so pretty. It's the same as the latest designs from Hong Kong and Taiwan. They can't even be sold in the shops. Yushu looked at the clothes curiously. They're all imitations. The quality is way worse. The price is only 1/10 or even 1/100th of the original. Tang Yin saw that Yushu was excited as if she had found a treasure. She was afraid that Yushu would be tricked. I see. Yao Yao, why don't we buy too? Even if it's street stalls, people will think that we're buying the real thing. Yushu said. Tang Yin couldn't help but sigh. It was true. Even if Meng Yao and Yushu wore 10 Kuai street stalls, no one would believe them. But even if she wore the real thing, people would think that it was an imitation, right? Let's take a look then. Meng Yao was a little tempted. After all, many of the styles were new. The four came to a street stall that seemed to be of good quality. Tang Yin chose a pair of shorts for herself. Meng Yao and Yushu each chose a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. They asked for the price. It was 300 kuai. The miss and Yushu didn't know how much it was worth. Tang Yin didn't know how to bargain, so the job was left to Lin Yi. Is it cheaper? Lin Yi asked the owner. 208 is the lowest. The owner could see that Meng Yao and Yushu were rich, so he didn't lower the price too much. Chapter 720. The joy of haggling. The boss paused. He was about to say that he said 208, not 200, but Lin Yi's next words made the boss pause. 200 was still too expensive. Only 150? He raised his head and looked at Lin Yi. It didn't seem like he was joking. His heart tightened. Did he meet someone who knew the trade? The girls from before obviously didn't know the market. They didn't even ask for the price before choosing the goods. He thought that he had met a fat sheep, but the person who was paying was behind him. 150 won't do. 180. 170. The boss wanted to say 180, but he didn't want others to hear it as 100 and lose money for nothing. He quickly changed it to 170. In fact, he could sell it for 170, but the profit would be a little less. He thought that he could make a lot of money, but it turned out to be less than what he earned normally. The gap was too big, and he couldn't accept it. 150 was close to the capital, so it didn't matter whether he sold it or not. 150 it is. I used to sell this kind of thing. Lin Yi said and pointed to a person selling clothes not far away. Brother, do you see that? I used to set up a stall with him at Xiaonan. As Lin Yi spoke, the man who set up the stall raised his head and saw Lin Yi. He was stunned for a moment before recognizing Lin Yi. Brother, you're here again? Did your wife give birth yet? Not yet, I'm just taking a stroll. Lin Yi smiled. Then go on with your business. I have someone else here. I can't talk to you anymore. The man nodded to Lin Yi and went back to his stall. Lin Yi's conversation with the stall owner stunned the shopkeeper. He didn't expect Lin Yi to have been in this line of work before. Alright, since we're in the same line of work, you should know the purchase price. The 150 is the purchase price. I don't earn much from it. How about you add 10 more to it? 160? Okay. Lin Yi nodded and took out his wallet to pay the bill. Meng Yao and Yushu suddenly realized that haggling prices was a very fun thing to do. Back in the mall, other than getting discounts with VIP cards, they'd never had the pleasure of haggling prices before. Seeing Lin Yi haggle, the two followed suit and started haggling at the next few stalls. They weren't able to get the lowest price for everything, but what surprised Lin Yi was that with Yushu's help, many of the items were sold at prices lower than Lin Yi had expected. However, they enjoyed the joy of bargaining and bought a bunch of useless things. For example, they bought more than 10 hair clips. They couldn't use them all, so they gave a few to Tang Yin. Tang Yin didn't want it at first, but Lin Yi nodded, indicating that she could accept it, so she accepted it. However, he still felt a little embarrassed. Yao Yao sis, look over there. Doesn't it look fun? Yushu pointed at a spot not too far away. Meng Yao raised her head and saw a group of people throwing sandbags. It seems like a game, throwing things with sandbags, and you get what you hit. This kind of game was often seen in movies. Usually the good stuff would be placed at the back, and it wouldn't be easy to get it. Let's go and see. Yushu was interested. Don't go, it's all a scam. Those things at the back are all rigged. My mother and I have been setting up a stall in the night market for more than a year, and we have never seen anyone win the big prize at the back. Only those small things at the front can be won, and they are not worth much at all. No way. Is it their skills? Yushu saw that there were a lot of people playing, and it didn't seem like rigging. I'm just guessing, maybe they're just unlucky. Tang Yin saw that Yushu wasn't listening, so she couldn't do anything. My luck is super good, I'll go and see. Yushu pulled Meng Yao and ran towards the stall. They don't usually come to this kind of place, do they? Tang Yin shook her head helplessly. I don't think they've played here before. Lin Yi sighed. The miss is actually quite pitiful. Other than Shu, she doesn't have many friends, and their lives are very fixed. The places they go to are also very fixed, and they rarely try new things. You know her quite well. Tang Yin heard Lin Yi mention Meng Yao, and she felt a little uncomfortable. Huh. Linny shrugged. The miss probably doesn't have that kind of thoughts towards me. The reason why she's mad at you is because of her pride. Oh. Tang Yun paused. This was the first time Linny talked about this directly. You'll know when you get to know her more. Linny said, the miss is actually a very lonely person, and she doesn't accept anyone easily. Once she accepts someone, she doesn't want to lose them easily. Am I her friend now? Anyway, I'm more pleasing to the eye than most people. Tang Yun nodded. Everyone had their own difficulties, and if what Linny said was true, that Meng Yao looked like she lived in a rich family, but there wasn't much fun to be had. Haggling at the night market was a source of entertainment for her, and it was obvious how monotonous her life was. She wouldn't be like those rich kids on the internet, racing cars, flaunting their wealth, or doing something exciting, would she? Won't you know once you see it? Linny shrugged. They don't even like to drive cars, and they always let me be the driver. Why would they like to race? As for showing off their wealth, do you think they're different from you? Tang Yun shook her head. It did seem to be the case. Unconsciously, Tang Yun's impression of Meng Yao and Yushu improved a lot. Let's not talk about this, let's go and see. Linny pointed at Yushu, who was already playing with the sandbag. She went to play after all. 10 kwai is like a waste of water. Although Tang Yun's family changed drastically because of Lin Yi's intervention, and they weren't as poor as they used to be, Tang Yun didn't have the habit of being extravagant. She was still careful with her money, and she didn't spend a single cent more than she should. 10 kwai for 10 sandbags, and Yushu finished throwing them in no time. Other than a pen holder, she didn't get anything else. Linny looked at the pen holder. It was sold for 3 kwai at the wholesale market, and Yushu had lost 7 kwai in just a short time. Of course, it wasn't much to her. Meng Yao was slower and she only threw 3 sandbags, but she already hit a bracelet. Yao Yao sis, I'll help you. Yushu went to Meng Yao after she lost her sandbag. Chapter 721. Oh, right away. Yushu threw a few more sandbags, but they all missed. The last one, however, landed on the biggest big wolf plushie in the last row. Oh yeah. I hit it, I hit the jackpot. Yushu cheered, but she realized that the big wolf plushie only shook a little, but didn't fall to the ground. Instead, it stood firmly on the shelf. What a shame, little girl. You almost hit the jackpot. This big wolf plushie is the real deal. It's different from those fakes. The owner looked at Yushu regretfully. You're too weak, use more strength next time. Impossible. I used a lot of strength. I can even kill a shark. How come I can't even throw a plushie? Yushu suddenly remembered Tang Yun's words and glared at the owner. Hey, did you do something to it? How is that possible? Don't talk nonsense, little girl. I've been doing business here for years, and I've never cheated anyone. Last month, someone even hit the jackpot. Ask these regular customers. I put a SpongeBob plushie here last month, and this month it's a big wolf plushie. The owner said quickly. When the people around heard the boss's words, they all nodded in agreement. Last month it wasn't the big wolf plushie that was placed here. It was a SpongeBob SquarePants plushie. If it wasn't beaten up, how could it be replaced with a big wolf plushie? Then I'll try again. Yushu wasn't satisfied and spent another 10 kwai to buy 10 more sandbags. There's definitely something wrong. Tang Yun whispered to Lin Yi. Yeah, I can see that too, but it's rare that they're willing to play. They're always cooped up at home. It's rare for them to have fun like this. Lin Yi said. Yushu threw 4 or 5 sandbags, and although she got a fishman plushie, it was too small to be worth much. It was the 6th sandbag, and Yushu was lucky once more as she threw the big wolf plus, but it was the same as last time. It wobbled a couple of times before standing firmly in place. The owner didn't expect Yushu to be this lucky, either, and hit the big wolf plus. He was put in a spot. If she didn't use enough strength the first time, was she going to use enough strength the second time? It's a little far-fetched, isn't it? However, the boss was an experienced swindler after all. He lied without blinking an eye. I still don't have enough strength. Looks like you've used all your strength, but the distance is too far. I suggest you choose the smaller, medium-sized dolls in front of you. Yushu gritted her teeth in anger. She turned around and looked at Lin Yi. Shield bro, come and help Shu. I want that big wolf plushie. Oh, then I'll try. Lenny also suspected that there was something wrong with the big wolf doll, so he didn't refuse. The boss couldn't wait to get someone else to hit it. Yushu's luck was too good. She hit it twice in a row. If she couldn't hit it the third time, it would mean that there was something wrong. He quickly added, "Yeah, it's a young man, he's stronger." Huh, don't tell me you only have one plushie? If I hit it, what about the others? Lenny thought that one plushie wasn't enough for everyone. At least one plushie for Mingyao, Yushu and Tang Yun. I'm a businessman, how could I only have one? There's more, go ahead and hit it. The boss thought to himself. I've seen a lot of people like you, who aren't full of confidence. In the end, you still won't be able to hit anything. All right, Lenny said as he picked up a sandbag, tossing it out without even aiming. The boss looked at Lenny and couldn't help but look down on him. Was he trying to act cool? It'd be weird if he could hit it. Bang. The sandbag hit the big wolf plushie right in the middle, knocking it to the ground. Wah. The boss looked at the scene in disbelief. Was there really a ghost? How did he hit it? And he even hit it? He put a layer of foam glue on the shelf, and it stuck to the bottom of the big wolf doll. Even if he hit it off, no one would notice because the foam glue was stuck to the shelf first. However, no one had ever hit it off before. Could it be that the foam glue lost its effectiveness after a long time? Or was it because the doll was hit by Yushu twice, and it loosened? Was that why it was hit by Lenny in one hit? The boss was heartbroken, but there was nothing he could do. He couldn't go back on his words in front of so many people, could he? However, in order to attract customers, the boss used genuine dolls. One doll was worth a few hundred yuan, and he really didn't want to give it away just like that. Every once in a while, the boss would find someone to help him and pretend to drop the first prize. In fact, it was his own relatives who would take turns to pretend to be players and take the first prize away. In reality, it was just returning to his own home. After a period of time, when people had forgotten about this doll, he would put it out in a new plastic bag and let people think that he had a new product. No one would suspect anything. But today he failed. If he knew this was going to happen, he would have pretended to check it and strengthened the foam glue. Congratulations, young man. You are the first player to knock down the first prize this month. Although the boss was heartbroken, there were so many people watching. If he went back on his word, how could he do business in the future? He might as well give the doll to Lin Yi and advertise his stall. Is there anyone else who wants to play? Maybe the next grand prize winner will be you. You have to act fast. There will be one soon. Lenny took the big wolf doll and gave it to Yushu. Oh, Shield Bro, you're amazing. Yushu happily took the big wolf doll. Mingyao and Tang Yun were a bit envious, but they didn't say anything. Yushu, on the other hand, said after being happy, Shield Bro, you can't be biased. You have to give one to your first wife and girlfriend too. Lin Yi wanted to continue, but Yushu's words put Lin Yi in a difficult position. If he continued, wouldn't he be admitting that Mingyao was the first wife? Tang Yun being the girlfriend was fine. Shu, don't talk nonsense. Mingyao kicked Yushu and said to Lin Yi, just give one to Tang Yun, I don't want one. Chapter 722. Hit another one? The owner who was rearranging the prizes heard Lin Yi's words and couldn't help but find it funny. Aren't you afraid of losing your tongue? One for each person? Do you think you're a sharpshooter? You got lucky last time, but this time, I'll add some foam glue. Let's see how you're going to continue. However, he only thought about it and couldn't say it out loud. When he turned around, his face was still full of smiles. Haha, then I hope your dream comes true. The surrounding people saw Lin Yi's words and surrounded him curiously. They wanted to see if he was just bragging or if he had some skills. Lin Yi picked up another sandbag and threw it out casually. He didn't aim, he didn't even use his full strength. The crowd was disappointed, but the owner was secretly delighted. They thought that Lin Yi had already gotten the first prize, and that the following sandbags would be considered as giving up. But something unexpected happened. Bang! Once again, it hit the Pleasant Goat plushie that the owner had just placed. Pleasant Goat didn't even shake, and was directly hit by the sandbag that Lin Yi threw out. The owner let out a cry of despair, but it was instantly drowned out by the cheers of the surrounding crowd. Amazing, he hit it again, this is amazing. Owner, I want to play too, give me a 10 yuan one. I want a 20 yuan one. I don't believe that Li Tianju, who is known as the unbeatable lucky star, can't lose to him. The owner painfully gave the pleasant goat plushie to Lin Yi, but he let out a sigh of relief when he heard the excited voices of the crowd. Fortunately, the advertising effect was obvious, and it brought a lot of customers. Lin Yi took the plushie and gave it to Meng Yao. Tang Yin. The miss was a little embarrassed to accept it. Tang Yin was still here, and Meng Yao felt that she shouldn't take the plushie first. Yushu already took one, and it wouldn't be good if she took another. Oh, there's still one sandbag left. I'll give her another one. Lin Yi said as he weighed the last sandbag. The boss who was displaying the dolls almost fainted when he heard Lin Yi's words. You still want to fight one? Then wouldn't he still have to pay to death? Would he still be able to do business? However, he couldn't stop Lin Yi from hitting. That way, he wouldn't be able to do business. When others missed, you were happy to take the money, but when you hit, you didn't want others to continue hitting. How could there be such logic? Therefore, the boss could only grit his teeth and pray that Lin Yi would not hit him. If he were to lose 3 dolls in a day, then all his hard work over the past few days would have been in vain. However, the reality would not go as he prayed. If his prayers were really useful, he would have become a millionaire long ago and would not have to set up a stall here. Bang! The last sandbag hit the biggest doll without any suspense. It was a little tanuki doll. The boss almost had a heart attack. He felt that he was going to faint. Fortunately, he knew that if he really fainted, then he would become a laughing stock. He could only endure the pain and pass the little tanuki doll to Lin Yi and congratulate him. Young man, you're really good. 3 consecutive championships. Oh, it's all right, Lin Yi said faintly as he took the little tanuki doll and passed it to Tang Yin. This is for you. Compared to Shi Yangyang and Big Wolf, Tang Yin liked little tanuki more. Seeing that Lin Yi gave her little tanuki, she couldn't help but be happy. Thank you. Oh, Shield bro, you're so good. Do you want to buy another 10 yuan? Yushu saw the boss's forced smile and asked with a smirk. Okay Shu, let's go look at other things and give the opportunity to others, Chu Mengyao said. Mengyao knew when to stop. It wasn't easy to run a small business like this. And these dolls cost more than 1,000 kuai. The boss must have been heartbroken. However, Chu Mengyao wouldn't give him any compensation. Business was like this, there were losses and there were profits. Her daddy didn't always make money. Lin Yi didn't have the intention to continue throwing sandbags. He left the sandbag throwing stall with Chu Mengyao, Yushu and Tang Yin. The boss finally let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that standing by the river would always get one's shoes wet. His foam glue wasn't safe either. But if he lost money, then so be it. Didn't he attract so many people? The boss didn't believe that there would be people as strong as Lin Yi. Wouldn't he earn it back? As expected, with Lin Yi's example, the boss got a blessing in disguise. More and more people came to throw sandbags. In a blink of an eye, the boss had a few hundred yuan in his account. What he gave out was only a few dozen yuan. This made the boss smile from ear to ear again. However, it was too early for him to be happy. Not long after Lin Yi left, another young man hit the first prize, the biggest doll. He just didn't hit it. The young man was obviously unhappy. I hit it too. Why didn't it drop? Your hand strength isn't good. That young man just now has strong hand strength. The boss thought. How could he let you hit it every time? How could I do business then? My hand strength is weak. I'm a fitness coach at XX Fitness Center. Why don't I believe that my hand strength is stronger than that pretty boy just now? The young man widened his eyes in disbelief and said, Did you do something to it? What can I do? That person just now got 3 first prizes. Everyone saw it. The boss said with a guilty conscience. Yeah, why did he hit 3? I know. He must have been hired by you. You deliberately let us see that he won a prize to attract us to spend money, right? The young man questioned. Impossible. I don't even know them. The boss was confident this time. He really didn't know Lin Yi and the others. If that's the case, then let me check the doll to see if there's any problem. The young man still didn't believe it. He pushed the boss away and walked to the shelf where he put things. You can't just come in. The boss quickly stopped him, But how could he be the opponent of the young man, the fitness coach? He quickly pushed it to the side. The young man tried to grab the biggest doll, but he couldn't grab it. He was suddenly stunned. He tried to grab it again, but he saw a lot of foam glue on the shelf below the doll. After the young man saw it, he sneered. Great? Is this how you lie? It's all foam glue below. No matter how strong a person's hand strength is, it's impossible to move the foam glue from so far away. Aren't you lying? Chapter 723. Business to discuss. Who are you trying to fool? You definitely didn't stick it on. The young man naturally didn't believe the boss words. If the boss was able to trick people with so much foam glue, how could he possibly believe his words? I really did. The boss's heart went cold. He was exposed just like that. How could he do business in the future? I don't care if you stuck it on or not. Refund me. I've spent 30 kwai here already. The young man was getting impatient. He didn't want to listen to the boss's explanation anymore. All right, I'll refund it right now. The boss wanted to keep the peace. After all, he was no match for the fitness trainer. We want a refund too. Hurry up and give me a refund. I was playing here yesterday. Me too, I played here the day before yesterday. I played here half a year ago, I'll refund it too. The boss fainted on the ground, foaming at the mouth. His money box was emptied, and those who didn't get any money went to his dolls and gifts. In an instant, there was nothing left of the stall. When the boss woke up, he realized that he had nothing left. However, who could be blamed for this? It was his fault for being dishonest in business. Lin Yi naturally didn't know that the boss was so unlucky after he left, but Lin Yi wouldn't care even if he knew. What did it have to do with Lin Yi? At that moment, Lin Yi was already in front of the mushroom stall with the miss and shoe. This isn't healthy, it's best not to eat it. Tang Yin couldn't help but remind the two girls when she saw how excited they were. You guys can make it at home if you want. That's right, Shield Bro, do you know how to make mushrooms? Yushu thought about it. The things outside weren't clean after all. Who knew if it was some unwashed mushrooms or gutter oil? Probably. Lin Yi only needed to watch the owner do it once to learn it. Then you can make it for us from now on. We won't come out to eat. Yushu was overjoyed. She could finally eat delicious fried mushrooms at home. Tang Yin rubbed her forehead, a little annoyed. She was looking for trouble for no reason. She was causing trouble for Lin Yi. Yushu wasn't in the mood to eat anymore now that she knew that Lin Yi knew how to fry mushrooms. She wouldn't have to stuff herself to death if she could eat mushrooms every day. After eating the mushrooms, Lin Yi saw that it was about time to send Tang Yin back to the hospital. With the miss and Yushu there, Lin Yi couldn't do anything with Tang Yin. It was a bit awkward with 4 people together. Tang Yin had the same idea as Lin Yi and agreed to Lin Yi's suggestion. Both Ming Yao and Yushu were with Lin Yi, after all, and they'd gotten a lot out of it. They didn't want to keep strolling around. They had school tomorrow, and they wouldn't be able to wake up if they stayed up too late. Yutian and Lingshan left Zheng Wen's room. Lingshan frowned. This friend of yours is a bit weird. There seems to be a reason why his kidney was cut off. I haven't been in contact with him for years. If I didn't come back for business this time, I wouldn't have contacted him. Yutian shook his head. But Haosen's strength hasn't been weak these years. They're slowly becoming the strongest among the 5 small houses. They're just doing some dirty tricks to get rich. I'll deal with them sooner or later. Lingshan said faintly. Haha, let's have a meal together. Do you have time? Yutian asked Lingshan after leaving the hospital. Nope, there's a lot of cases. I don't want to waste time. Lingshan rejected directly. Plus, I'm wearing the uniform. I need to change. It's too troublesome. Actually, I have some business to discuss with you. Yutian was full of confidence this time. He came to Songshan for a secret mission, but there was a part where he needed to cooperate with the local police. After asking for permission from his superiors, he decided to contact Lingshan. But according to the procedure, Yutian had to contact the local police chief first. But Yutian had already told Huaijuan about it, and Lingshan was the captain of the Criminal Investigation Department. She was in charge of this, so it was a valid reason. Business? Lingshan paused. If it's business, let's talk in my office. Forget about the meal. It's probably dinner time now. We can't talk about business on an empty stomach, can we? Yutian smiled bitterly. All right, let's have some fast food then. Lingshan said faintly. There's a cafeteria in the hospital. All right. Yutian didn't have a choice. Fast food, at least they could eat together. The only problem was that it wasn't romantic at all. The two arrived at the hospital cafeteria. Lingshan was wearing a police uniform, and Yutian was also wearing an armed police uniform, but no one noticed them. Most of the police officers were stationed in the hospital these days, and it was normal for them to eat in the cafeteria. Yutian wanted to go to the private room and order some dishes, but Lingshan bought 2 fast food straight away. Yutian couldn't say anything, and he could only smile bitterly. What's the matter? Just say it. Lingshan found a quiet corner and placed the food on the table. She looked at Yutian. If you're looking for me for business, you should contact my director first. I've already told Huaijuan. Yutian, naturally, wouldn't give Lingshan an excuse to reject him. All right, Lieutenant Chun. Is there anything we can help with? Lingshan nodded. Yutian didn't know what to do with Lingshan's tone. Couldn't Lingshan talk to him like a friend? We discovered an artifact smuggling group when we were patrolling the border. They had a fierce fight with us when we were crossing the border. The leader is the famous husband and wife thief in the black market. Chun Yutian briefly explained the cause of the incident. You should be working with the local police and relics department, not Songshan's police, right? Lingshan naturally had heard of the couple before. They were a famous group of grave robbers, and the leader was a man and a woman. In fact, the arrest warrant for the burglar couple had already been issued, but no one knew the true faces of the burglar couple. These 2 people always wore masks, so no one knew their true identities. Chapter 724. Of course. Let's eat first, we'll go to my office later. Lingshan nodded, interrupting Yutian. They were in a corner of the cafeteria, and no one was paying attention to them. Lingshan still didn't want to talk about work in public. Chun Yutian nodded and quickly finished the food in front of him. Lingshan didn't say anything during the meal, and Yutian wanted to find a topic unrelated to work. You know Lin Yi. What are you trying to say? Lingshan frowned. You seem to be close with him? He seems to be very strong? Yutian probed. Stronger than you. Lingshan said mercilessly. Of course. Chun Yutian nodded in agreement. Lingshan didn't know what to say. She thought Yutian wouldn't be happy, but he said of course. Lingshan couldn't help but shake her head. Wasn't this Yutian too soft? With a personality like his, he'd never be strong. But Lingshan didn't know the reason. If it were someone else, Yutian might not be happy, but in front of Lin Yi, all he felt was respect. Yutian saw that Lingshan didn't seem to want to talk to him, so he stopped talking and quickly finished his food. Lingshan was from the special forces, too, so she didn't hesitate when eating, not slower than Yutian. After the meal, the two went to the parking lot. Yutian drove an Audi A6 with an armed police license, a typical official car. Lingshan, on the other hand, was in a civilian Cheetah. The 2 cars left the hospital and went straight to the police station. In Lingshan's office, Lingshan poured Yutian a glass of water, and the 2 sat on the sofa facing each other. Major Chun, you can continue. All right. Yutian nodded. He was no longer the cowardly guy he used to be when talking about work, and Lingshan liked him a little. We found the couple's work notes, and in it, they recorded the time of their next crime. The location was a tomb near Songshan. Oh, there's a tomb near Songshan? Lingshan paused. She'd never heard of any dynasty building a capital around here. And logically speaking, even if there were tombs here, they'd all belong to commoners. Grave robbers wouldn't even bother with them. I'm not sure, because the notebook didn't mention the exact location of the tomb. It only mentioned that we have to go to Songshan first, so it should be around here, Chun Yutian said. You want to find this tomb? I don't think you guys are in charge of this, right? Lingshan didn't understand why Yutian was looking for a tomb. This tomb was discovered by 3 groups of grave robbers, one of which was the couple. Chun Yutian said. You're saying that you want to take them all out? Lingshan wasn't stupid. She knew what Yutian was getting at. That's right. Chun Yutian nodded. First, we want to catch them all, and second, We want to use their abilities to explore the tomb. The tomb that these people have their eyes on must be extraordinary. Having them explore the path first will also provide our archaeologists with information and convenience. What do you need our help with? Lingshan understood what Yutian meant. This mission was a bit dangerous. Not only did they have to catch the grave robbers, but they also had to explore the tomb with them. According to the couple's notebook, when they first explored the tomb, they found it to be extremely dangerous. But the more dangerous a tomb is, the more treasures there are, and so they didn't want to give up. They didn't have the confidence to enter, Chen Yutian said, so they contacted a famous archaeologist in the country, Wuxia. Wuxia? Lingshan paused when she heard the name. You're talking about our Songshan's Wuxia? The freelance explorer Wuxia? That's right, that's him. Yutian nodded and continued. Wuxia is a freelance explorer in name, a special reporter and writer for many magazines, but in reality, he has connections with the grave robbers. Wuxia's family was attacked by a psycho murderer a while ago. You know about this too? Lingshan realized. You're looking for us because of this Wuxia? That's right, Wuxia has always been in the hands of the Songshan police. If we want to find the tomb, we have to start with Wuxia. Only he knows the location of the tomb. Chen Yutian said. Those grave robbers, including the couple, found Wuxia and wanted to use him to enter the tomb. However, Wuxia gave up on working with them after a precise investigation. He said that the tomb was too dangerous, so he chose to withdraw from the mission. But they were afraid that Wuxia would leak the information, or that he would take the treasure after they gave up, so they chose to kill him. So that's how it is. No wonder Wuxia didn't want to cooperate with the police. He must know the reason why he was attacked, but if he told the truth, he'd be dragged into the mess as well. His crime wouldn't be light either. Lingshan finally understood what Wuxia was worried about. He was a tomb raider in the dark. Did Wuxia leave any statement or message? Chen Yutian asked. No, he didn't want to cooperate with us. We didn't think too much about it at first, but we didn't know that there was such a big secret behind it. Lingshan shook her head, feeling regretful. She would have protected Wuxia no matter what if she knew this would happen. How's Wuxia's condition now? I heard from Huaijuan that he's not doing well? Yutian sighed. All the clues were focused on Wuxia. If something really happened to him, where would they find the tomb with so many mountains and rivers around Songshan? He hasn't woken up yet, he's being kept alive by the ventilator. Lingshan suddenly thought of Lin Yi. Didn't that guy promise to treat Wuxia? Why was there no news? He couldn't have forgotten about it, could he? From the looks of it, it was very possible. Lingshan had been troubled by the kidney trafficking company's case recently, so she temporarily put Wuxia's matter aside. She didn't ask Linny about it, but Linny acted as if it didn't matter at all. Chapter 725. Make him give up, things are getting complicated now. Yutian frowned. What did the doctor say? The doctor can't do anything for sure. Lingshan shook her head. Yutian wasn't an idiot. He could tell from Lingshan's words that the doctor couldn't do anything, but from Lingshan's tone, it seemed like someone else had a way? He asked, surprised. Lingshan, there's another way? Call me Song Lingshan or Officer Song. Lingshan wasn't happy with the way Yutian addressed her. How dare he call her Lingshan? All right, Lingshan. Do you have another way? Yutian said helplessly. I don't. But someone else does. Lingshan got a headache thinking about Lin Yi. Was she supposed to ask Lin Yi for Yutian's case? It was fine if it was for herself, but for Yutian. Man, favors were things that were hard to come by. Acting like Miss Braindead and Miss Dumbass wasn't something new anymore. What if Lin Yi got annoyed? But for business and personal reasons, Lingshan couldn't just ignore it. Officially, he had a part in this case as well. After all, the armed police cooperated with the local police. Privately, he didn't care about his relationship with Chen Yutian. Solving this case would be a great achievement for him. Although it was a joint operation, no one could take the credit away from the local police. Is it troublesome? Yutian asked carefully. It's all right. Let me make a call. Lingshan sighed. It seemed like she had to call Lin Yi herself, and let Yutian talk to his sister and Lin Yi. Maybe that would work, but it didn't seem reliable. She was the one who asked Linny for help first, and if she let Yutian get involved now, Linny might think that she was using Yutian to pressure him. Okay. Yutian nodded. Lingshan called Linny, feeling a little uneasy. She regretted calling him in front of Yutian. What if Linny didn't agree? Wouldn't she have to act coquettishly? It wouldn't be good if Chen Yutian heard this. She had always been a strong girl. She had never behaved like this since she was young. If word of this got out, she would lose a lot of face. But before she could think about it, Lin Yi picked up the phone. Lin Yi was on the way back to the hospital. Hello. I'm Lingshan. You promised me that you'd treat Lu Buojia. How's it going? Lingshan asked carefully. Who is Lu Buojia? Lingshan's guess was right. Lin Yi had forgotten about Lu Buojia a long time ago, and Lingshan didn't bring it up either. Why would he have the time to remember things like that? It's the one in the hospital, the one who got hurt by that crazy murderer. Lingshan explained. That person? It won't be easy to save him. Let's leave it at that. I still have things to do here. Lin Yi hung up the phone. Lin Yi had arrived at the hospital and parked his car. He had to say goodbye to Tang Yin. He didn't have the confidence to save Buojia before because the guy was too heavily injured, but after what happened to Xiao Xiao and Meng Yao, as well as his own injuries, he realized that the energy within his body could quickly heal his own and other people's injuries. Lu Buojia's injuries were too severe, and it would consume most of Lin Yi's energy. Lin Yi didn't need to drop a level for him. Although he could recover in one night, this person wasn't related to him at all. Why would Lin Yi waste his energy to save him? Lingshan was a little annoyed that Lin Yi hung up on her, but she got some information from Lin Yi's words. Lin Yi said that it wasn't easy to save him, not impossible. Did that mean there was hope? Lingshan hesitated and called Lin Yi again. Yutian, on the other hand, didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Normally, powerful people had a temper. Asking them for help wasn't something that could be done with just a phone call. Lin Yi sent Tang Yin off and didn't expect Lingshan to call him again. Lin Yi didn't go back to the car and picked up the call. Is there anything else? Good man, please help me. Lingshan suddenly remembered that Yutian was right beside her. She was a little worried. But thinking about it, she decided to use this chance to make Yutian give up. With someone stronger than him as a comparison, Yutian wouldn't bother her anymore. It would solve a big problem. With that thought, Lingshan calmed down. Miss Dummy needs your help. Can you save him for me? At most, I'll repay you and cook for you? Yutian's eyes widened in shock. This was Lingshan. Was he seeing things? Since when did Lingshan become like this? If it weren't for the fact that the person in front of him was Lingshan, Yutian would have thought that it was a girl acting cute to her boyfriend just from the voice alone. How was this possible? Yutian rubbed his eyes, he couldn't believe it. Lingshan had always been a strong person. How did she become like this? Could it be that the person on the phone was a girl? But it didn't seem like it. Lingshan's tone sounded like she was talking to a man, and she even called herself Miss Dummy? Yutian's heart almost exploded when he heard that. Lingshan calling herself Miss Dummy? Wasn't this too surprising? This title. It was obviously a term of endearment between lovers. Lin Yi was speechless at Lingshan's begging, but his heart softened. Alright, I'll go take a look tomorrow when I'm free. That's great. Thank you so much. Lingshan said, trying to sound as sweet and coy as she could. You're welcome. Alright, I'll be hanging up. Lin Yi hung up and went back to the car. Lingshan let out a long sigh of relief. Okay, done. This move worked every time. Lin Yi gave in as soon as she acted cute. It wasn't bad at all. Lingshan was feeling pleased with herself when she remembered that Yutian was still sitting in front of her. Her face froze. Lingshan. You. Yutian looked at Lingshan in disbelief. What? Is there a problem? Lingshan decided to attack Yutian a little, and her expression became more natural. Just now. The person you called. Yutian couldn't help but ask. That's my personal business, Lingshan said faintly. It has nothing to do with the case, right? That. Of course not. Yutian smiled bitterly, his face a little disappointed. Lingshan had a boyfriend? Chapter 726. Lingshan's boyfriend? Lingshan had gone through so much trouble to beg Lin Yi, and naturally, she wouldn't just let someone else take the credit for nothing. If this tomb robbery case was solved smoothly, It'd be a huge achievement for her as well. Of course. Yutian, on the other hand, wanted to do the mission with Lingshan, but Lingshan's phone call made him hesitant. Since there's nothing else, can Major Chen leave now? Lingshan looked at Yutian. Can I ask something personal after the business? Yutian didn't want to give up. What personal? Lingshan knew what Yutian wanted to ask, but she said, but you can ask and I can choose not to answer. It's like this, the person you called, is he your boyfriend? Yutian decided to give up. Not yet, but I'm going after him, Lingshan said after some thought. You are going after him? Yutian's eyes went wide. What can't I? Lingshan laughed in her heart. You should give up now, right? It's not that I can't, it's just a little weird. Yutian shook his head. You didn't sound like you when you called. Is he a doctor? I guess so. Lingshan said the truth. Lin Yi wasn't a professional doctor, at most half one. Guess so. Yutian paused, not understanding what she meant. Didn't you say that you'd find a man stronger than you? He's a doctor. How can he be stronger than you? Yutian wasn't convinced. Lingshan wasn't trying to trick him, was she? She said she'd find a man stronger than her. Why did she find a doctor as her boyfriend? Stronger than me? Who told you doctors can't be stronger than me? Lingshan frowned. Your logic is problematic, and he's not a doctor either. He's just a guest. Guest? Yutian smiled bitterly. Does that mean I don't have a chance? You never had one, Lingshan said without hesitation. First, I don't like men like you. Secondly, I've already broken through to the late phase of the golden class. Do you think you can surpass me? Late phase of the golden class. Yutian took a deep breath. How many days had it been? Lingshan had just touched the barrier of late phase golden class a few days ago. And now she was already late phase golden class? This kind of terrifying leveling speed was rare even among the aristocratic families. You don't believe me? Lingshan's chi gathered together, and the aura she released made Yutian's heart skip a beat. Golden class late phase after all. I do. Yutian sighed. But your friend is stronger than you? He helped me break through. Lingshan couldn't help but blush as she remembered the scene in the basement that day. She felt her body heat up. She'd actually broken through under that kind of shameful situation. However, it made sense to say that Lin Yi helped him break through. After all, he was fantasizing about Lin Yi at that time. It seems like I really can't compare to him. Yutian basically gave up on Lingshan. Right, he's not an old man, is he? I don't think there's anyone stronger than you in the younger generation, right? Grandpa Song wouldn't agree to you finding a husband with a huge age gap. Would he? This was Yutian's only hope. No, Lingshan said faintly. If you want to know, you'll see it in the hospital tomorrow. Lingshan didn't say Lin Yi's name directly, keeping it a secret. It was better to keep this a secret. All right. Yutian sighed in disappointment. Mrs. Tang was so happy that she couldn't stop smiling as she held the bank statement. She had never seen so much money in her life. 3 million, a whole 3 million. Plus the 500,000 from before, there was a total of 3,500,000. Did she become a legendary millionaire? Old Tang, look at this account book. Are there 4 zeros on it? It's 35 in front, 7 digits in total? Mrs. Tang held the account book and asked Jucheng. It's 3,500,000. You've shown it to me more than 10 times. Tang Jucheng, on the other hand, was indifferent. Too many things had happened in the house recently, but ever since Lin Yi came, the house was getting better and better. Your broken leg is worth it, Mrs. Tang joked. Forget it. Tang Jucheng laughed self-deprecatingly. My leg? It's not worth a cent in their eyes, right? It's not like they didn't break it before. I've been lying in bed for so many years, and now I want a cent. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, they wouldn't even give me 30,000, let alone 3 million. I'm just joking. Mrs. Tang knew as well. She didn't know how Lin Yi got the money, but Lin Yi was capable. He broke the leg of the CEO of Qibing Real Estate, and they still had to pay him money. Mrs. Tang and Jucheng were talking when Tang Yin pushed the door open. She saw the smiles on her parents' faces and couldn't help but feel strange. Dad, Mom, what are you talking about? Why are you so happy? Aren't we talking about the 3 million? Lily is amazing. He got 3 million just like that? Mrs. Tang waved the bank card and account book in her hand happily. Tell me, how did you get it? It's nothing. Lin Yi beat up Li Delay, the brother of Li Qibing's underling. Then Li Delay came to ask for mercy and Lin Yi asked him for 3 million for Dad's medical fees. Tang Yun briefly explained the process. She didn't want her mother to worry about the details. Huh. Mrs. Tang and Juqing's eyes widened at the same time. How could that be? You beat up someone's brother, and he still had to give you 3 million? Wasn't that too overbearing? However, the more overbearing Lin Yi was, the happier she was. This was the only way they wouldn't be bullied in the future. Hence, he said, originally, I was thinking of buying a house in a bad location tomorrow. If it's cheaper, I'll make do with it. Now that I have so much money, it's enough to buy any house. Then let's buy a better one. Tang Yun knew that the money was about the same as what Lin Yi gave them. Lin Yi could have asked Li Zihua for 3 million, and the medical fees for her father was just an excuse for Lin Yi to give them money. Chapter 727. Chapter 727. House Chen's Crisis. Yin, what do you say we buy a retail house? If the district's big, we can open a barbecue shop. That'll be enough for us to eat and drink, right? Mrs. Tang asked. That's fine. You and Dad don't have anything to do anyways. We might as well start a business. Tang Yin nodded. 3 million, that's 100,000 in interest a year. What are you going to do to earn that? Juqing was meticulous in his calculations, thinking that it'd be safer to keep the money in the bank. That's true. Mrs. Tang hesitated as well, not knowing what to do. Yin, your dad's right. If we keep the money in the bank, we'll get a lot of interest a year too. That. I don't really understand. Maybe we should ask Lin Yi tomorrow? Let's see what he says. Tang Yin had never seen so much money before. She didn't know how to manage money, and she didn't dare suggest anything. She'd ask Lin Yi tomorrow. The night passed peacefully, and he was woken up by Ling Shan's call the next morning. He looked at the time on his phone. It was only 5:30, pissing him off. He'd been training in the Jade, and now he was interrupted like this. What's wrong with you? Why are you calling so early in the morning? Lin Yi roared into the phone. Ling Shan felt wronged. It was already 5:30, and it wasn't early anymore. It was important for practitioners to wake up early to train, and Ling Shan had always been like this for 20 years. Don't you need to wake up early to train? Train my ass. Lin Yi was a little troubled. Don't compare yourself to others. I've always been a person who wakes up naturally. You're interested in my sister? Ling Shan blinked. I've never even seen her. What's there to be interested in? Lin Yi was speechless at Ling Shan's logic. Do you have something to do? Yeah, didn't you promise me to go to the hospital to see Lu Buojia? Ling Shan said carefully. I'm ready. Then wait for me at the hospital. Lin Yi yawned, remembering what Ling Shan said yesterday. I'll be there in a bit. Okay, you didn't have breakfast, right? Can you let little silly girl help you with something? Ling Shan was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't try his best, and even if he could cure her, he'd find it troublesome to lie to her and say that he couldn't cure her. So Ling Shan was trying her best to please Lin Yi. Then do something, Lin Yi said before hanging up. Lin Yi was already used to Ling Shan's attentiveness. After getting up, Lin Yi found something in the kitchen and made a pot of lean meat porridge for Mengyao and Yushu. He set the timer and left the house. Lin Yi agreed to buy a house with Tang Yun's family today, so he had to go to the hospital to deal with Lu Buojia as soon as possible. He didn't have time to wait for Kanji to eat breakfast at home. He drove the van to the Songshan's First People's Hospital, and Lin Yi called Ling Shan. You're here? Ling Shan was pleasantly surprised. She didn't think that Lin Yi would come so soon. It seemed that Lin Yi was quite considerate of her, not letting her lose face in front of Yutian. Yutian came to the hospital early this morning. He didn't sleep well the whole night. The fact that Ling Shan had an admirer made him very disappointed. He knew that he basically had no hope, and so he wanted to see how strong the man she liked was. Of course, he still had the right to challenge him. If he could surpass him one day. I'm here, in the parking lot of the hospital. Where are you? Lin Yi asked. I'm at the 3rd ward, the ICU on the top floor, room 2119, Ling Shan said. Okay, I'll go now. Linny got off the car and walked to the third ward. Yutian, who was beside Lingshan, heard that the man she was after was coming, and he couldn't help but get nervous. Lingshan, he's here? Almost there. Lingshan nodded. She didn't like Yutian's nervousness. Why couldn't he be a little more manly? Even if she was stronger than him, there was no need to be this nervous, was there? Yutian nodded. He felt like a failure, pursuing Lingshan for so many years, and it all ended in failure. But he chose the wrong direction from the start. He walked the path of a spoiled young master, and Lingshan didn't like him at all. When he wanted to use his strength to surpass Lingshan, he realized that he started too late. If it wasn't for the guidance of a famous teacher, he wouldn't even be able to break through golden class in this lifetime. Yutian was disappointed, but he didn't regret it. If it wasn't for Lingshan's words, he wouldn't have gotten so excited, and he wouldn't have chosen this path. Although he wasn't the strongest out of all the noble houses, early phase golden class wasn't weak. At least his grandpa wasn't disappointed in him. He was the only male in the third generation of House Qin, and Yushu couldn't possibly practice martial arts. If he didn't have strength, House Qin would probably be removed from the four noble houses by House Yu in a few years. So Yutian's sense of danger was quite strong. He was still young, and he didn't have to think so much when he was a spoiled young master, but now he had to. Other than the old man who used to be a famous person, there wasn't anyone in the third generation of House Qin who could stand firm. When the old master was young, he practiced external techniques. The characteristics of external techniques were different from internal techniques. The older one was, the purer their internal energy would be. However, when an external technique was old, if one's body wasn't good, they would become weaker and weaker. Old Chen's body wasn't too good now, and although he was at his peak at the middle phase of mystic class, who knew how much strength he had left? Wu Gonggao from House Wu had been jumping up and down these years, looking like he wanted to challenge Old Chen, but in reality, he just wanted to see how strong House Chen was. He wanted to see how much strength House Chen had left. After this period of time, it was time for some of the noble houses to be replaced. House Wu, naturally, wanted to get rid of House Chen, and then support a family that was on good terms with them. Didn't House Kong rely on House Wu recently? House Wu probably had this plan as well. So although House Chen looked good on the surface, as one of the 5 small noble houses and the 4 big houses, their position was actually in danger. Chen Yutian knew this very well, and so did Elder Chen. This was also why Old Chen supported Yutian's courtship with Lingshan. Once the Song and Chen families were united through marriage, then those people who were after House Chen wouldn't be as arrogant as they were now. Chapter 728. Breakfast with Love. The only thing Yutian could do now was to get on the good side of other noble houses and get a strong ally for House Chen, but this kind of ally wasn't very dependable. After all, they weren't related by marriage, and once there was a conflict of interest, it would be easy for them to collapse. So Yutian could only rely on himself. If he could break through to Mystic before the old man passed away, then House Chen would be able to survive for at least 100 years. But was it possible to break through the mystic class? Lingshan was the leader of this generation, but she'd only just entered golden class late phase. House Song, on the other hand, had a strong foundation. The old man of House Song was only golden class late phase peak, but the old lady was already a mystic mid-phase spiritual practitioner. In fact, House Song's spiritual arts were more suitable for women. Among the younger generation of House Song, Lingshan's brother was only early phase golden class, and Lingshan's sister was also early phase golden class. It was impossible for him to marry Lingshan, and Yutian wanted to see just how strong the person Lingshan was talking about was. If House Song managed to rope in such a strong person, then House Song might even be able to take on House Yu. Linny came to the door and pushed it open. He paused when he saw Lingshan and Yutian standing in the guest room. Yutian was here too? Yutian's face froze when he saw that it was Lin Yi. Why was Instructor Eagle here? But then Yutian thought it through. Could it be that the strong practitioner Lingshan was talking about was Lin Yi? Yutian made sense now. Among the younger generation, who else could have such strength other than Lin Yi? If Lin Yi could help him break through golden class, why couldn't he help Lingshan? But Yutian had always treated Lin Yi as a high and mighty instructor, and never treated him as someone of the same generation. In Yutian's eyes, Lin Yi was like a god. So when Chen Yutian was thinking about the elites of the younger generation, he didn't even consider Lin Yi on the same level. Now that he saw Lin Yi, he realized that Lin Yi was younger than him. Naturally, he was the leader of the younger generation. Lin Yi didn't know what Song Lingshan told Yutian, so Lin Yi didn't feel awkward when he saw Yutian. He nodded. Yutian bro, you're here too. Yutian smiled bitterly. I'm one of the people in charge of this case, so I'm here as well. Yutian smiled bitterly. I'm one of the people in charge of this case, so I'm here too. Chen Yutian didn't even have the intention to challenge Lin Yi. He wouldn't be able to surpass Lin Yi even if he had another 100 years. If Lingshan really did end up with Lin Yi, then it wouldn't be a bad ending at all, and House Song would rise again. No one knew Lin Yi's strength better than Yutian. He believed that Lingshan saw this too, and that was why she took the initiative to pursue Lin Yi. Otherwise, with Lingshan's strong personality, if the man wasn't so much stronger than her, why would she take the initiative to pursue him? She even cooked for him, and her tone was so gentle when she called him. Only Lin Yi had the right to do this. But suddenly, Chen Yutian froze as he remembered something. His sister seemed to have a special relationship with Lin Yi. She even said that she wanted to be his mistress. What was going on? Yutian didn't believe his sister's words. Yushu rarely spoke the truth, and no one could tell if she was lying or not. She was like this since she was young, but Yutian still went into deep thought. Could Lingshan be his sister's competitor? But Yutian shook his head. His sister was only a 12th grader. Wasn't it too early to think about these things? You didn't have breakfast, right? Lingshan took out a thermos and gave it to Lin Yi. I made breakfast for you, have some first? Lin Yi nodded and took the thermos, opening it on the coffee table. Lingshan's cooking skills, on the other hand, surprised Lin Yi. This tigress knew how to cook? And it looked like it was not bad. There were a few jujube cakes, 2 fried eggs, and some pickled vegetables in the thermos. It was obvious that it wasn't a ready-made product. Song Lingshan must have made it early in the morning. Lin Yi quickly finished the food in the thermos. It tasted good and he praised. I didn't know that your cooking skills were not bad. You're not useless after all. The first part of the sentence made Lingshan extremely happy, but the second part almost made her explode from anger. What did he mean by she wasn't a good-for-nothing? Did she have no other ability other than cooking? She was a golden class late phase master now, and in Lin Yi's eyes, she was only good at cooking? But Song Lingshan didn't dare to say anything. She was afraid that she'd anger Lin Yi and drive him away. That would have wasted her breakfast, and the silly girl from yesterday would have gone down the drain. It'd be too late for regrets. She could only smile. You like it, so I always cook for you? As for other things, don't I have you to help me? You don't have to worry about it. We'll talk about it later. Let's take a look at that Lu Buojia first. Lin Yi didn't reply to Lingshan's word. Ever since that incident in the dungeon, their relationship had been weird. He didn't know what she was thinking, but Lin Yi was afraid that he wouldn't be able to resist the temptation if he were to reply. Of course, the temptation was small, but the trouble was big. If something really happened between him and Song Lingshan, it'd be endless. And let's take a look at the patient first. Lingshan was overjoyed. Lin Yi finally asked to see the patient. Yutian, on the other hand, was so shocked that his eyeballs were about to fall out. It was said that women would change for the man they liked, and it seemed to be true. Lingshan was like a completely different person. Lin Yi still had to accompany Tang Yun's family to buy a house later, so he didn't have much time. Naturally, he had to settle this as soon as possible. Lingshan and Yutian followed Lin Yi into the ICU, not daring to say anything. They only watched as Lin Yi examined Lu Buojia's injuries. Chapter 729. Being brothers, Lin Yi wouldn't have cared about Buojia's life if Miss Song didn't make it sound so nice. Lin Yi checked Buojia's injuries again. It was the same as before, not getting any worse. But then again, it was good enough that he was able to use the ventilator until now. Lin Yi didn't say much and turned to Lingshan and Yutian. Get someone to take off his gown, I'm going to do the acupuncture. I'll do it. Yutian didn't decline and volunteered to take off Buojia's gown. Lingshan was a girl and naturally couldn't do it, so she watched from afar. Lu Buojia's hospital gown was loose, so Chen Yutian took it off easily. Lin Yi nodded and signaled Yutian to step back. He took out a box of silver needles. Lin Yi bought this last night. He used the previous box on Li Delay and it wasn't cheap. He had to get it back from Tsihua another day. The silver needles pierced into Bojia's body. Lin Yi didn't want to heal him completely. He chose to use his own energy to heal the fatal injuries. To prevent Xiao from draining his energy dry, Lin Yi used the needles to seal a few of Bojia's meridians. This way, he could selectively transfer energy to different parts of Bojia's body. As for the other injuries, wasn't there a hospital? He could just lie in the room and slowly recover. Lin Yi transferred energy into Bojia's body and healed the fatal injuries. Lin Yi breathed out in relief. Bojia needed far less energy than Xiao, similar to the Mississippi. This way, he wouldn't need too much energy to heal all of Bojia's injuries. However, Lin Yi didn't do so. Firstly, it would be too shocking. Secondly, Lin Yi didn't owe Lu Bojia anything. It was good enough that he treated Lu Bojia like this. In the words of the old man at home, a thief would not leave empty-handed. Even if he made a move, he had to be paid for it. He couldn't make a move for free, right? Alright, he should wake up in the afternoon. Lin Yi removed the silver needles from Lu Bojia's body. The entire process took less than 10 minutes. So simple. Lingshan watched as Lin Yi inserted a couple of needles and massaged Bojia's body a couple of times. Just like that? If that was the case, then why was this fellow still making excuses in front of him? What was the meaning of this? To him, this was as easy as lifting a finger, but he tricked her into pretending to be a silly girl several times? Lin Yi rolled his eyes and said, "If you think it's easy, then why don't you do it? How much true qi did I lose to infuse into his body? If I had infused it into your body, you might have leveled up again." Lin Yi was just mocking Lingshan for not using her brain, but Lingshan felt conflicted after hearing Lin Yi's words. Lin Yi was actually using true qi to treat Lu Bojia? Wasn't that too extravagant? Could it be that Lin Yi's true qi could be used by other people? Lingshan had only heard that one's own true qi could be used by other people, but she had never heard of other people's true qi having this effect. Plus, there was a condition for one's true qi to be used by other people. It had to be her future husband. Just like her grandpa, he was only golden class early phase when he was young. If it wasn't for her grandma, how could he have reached golden class late phase peak? Yet Lin Yi was using his qi on someone he didn't even know, and a normal person at that. Lingshan couldn't believe it. At the same time, her heart ached. Wouldn't it be great if she had the true qi? She didn't even know that she might have leveled up again. Silly girl, you're wrong, all right. Lingshan blushed as she held onto Lin Yi's hand. Good man, can you give me some true qi next time? We'll talk about it when we have time. Lin Yi brushed her off. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. Tang Yin is waiting for me to go buy a house with her family. Lingshan could tell that Lin Yi was brushing her off, but she didn't give up. She wouldn't believe that Lin Yi would just give her true qi like that. Tang Yin? Yutian paused at the name. It was a girl's name? He didn't know what her relationship with Lin Yi was, but it seemed like Lin Yi was quite popular with girls. Lingshan did have a lot of competitors. Lin Yi left the room, and only Lingshan and Yutian were left. Lingshan's expression returned to her cold face, as if she wasn't the one acting like a spoiled child. Yutian sighed. A person could change so quickly? It seems like you have quite a lot of competitors. Yutian let go of this relationship completely. The moment he saw Lin Yi, he knew the difference between him and Lin Yi. He didn't have any fantasies anymore. Once he calmed down, he could start joking around with Lingshan. So what? Lingshan was surprised at Yutian's attitude. In an instant, she felt that Yutian's attitude towards her had calmed down a lot. This way they could be good friends. At least she didn't hate him anymore. You're finally giving up? Yeah, so what if I don't? I'm not his match. Yutian shrugged, mocking himself. I didn't expect it to be him. If it was him, I would have given up a long time ago. I wouldn't have come here to embarrass myself. You knew Lin Yi from before? Lingshan could tell from Yutian's words that something was off. I can't say. Yutian shook his head. Lingshan smiled. You're making me feel a lot more comfortable now. You used to be a yes man, and you didn't have any manliness at all. Yeah, this is my weakness too. I've been suppressed by you since I was young. I couldn't even think of fighting back. Yutian nodded. So, I'm not destined to be your Mr. Right. I'm more like a follower. There are plenty of good girls. With your Chun family and your own strength, you'll be able to find a woman. Lingshan patted Yutian's shoulder. I think it's better to treat you as a brother. Okay, then we're good brothers from now on. Although Chun Yutian had given up, his tone was still bitter when he said that. How's Grandpa Chun? Lingshan hadn't visited old Chun in a long time. Ever since she knew that old Chun wanted to propose marriage, the relationship between the two became much more distant.